Come here, kid. The tattered voice of the now dying demon of the mist Zabuza Momochi called out to the young blonde Konoha shinobi. Naruto cautiously approached the dying man, who just moments ago had gone from being an enemy to helping his team defeat a horde of bandits. Zabuza? I need a favor, Kid Kof. I need you to kill me. Zabuza managed between coughs of blood. At the sight of the blonde's shocked face, he decided to elaborate. Listen up, kid. The world as you've seen is not Kof a forgiving place. Not only do I want to help you get your first kill out of the way, Kof, I'm also ensuring that my sword is taken care of. If I die of my wounds, Kobe Kirabocho can be taken by anyone, but if you kill me, then the sword will only recognize you as its master. Carry on my legacy. Naruto was stunned, but the respect he had for the man in front of him was too great to deny him this one request. I'll do it, Zabuza, I'll be your legacy. He said, with a firm conviction. Place my hand on yours. Zabuza instructed. The young blonde did as he was told, and Zabuza with some of his dwindling reserves placed a small seal on Naruto's hand. That will allow you to see all the instructions you need in your dreams tonight. It will also give you confirmation if you ever meet my last living teammate Kisame. If you do, tell him, the will of the blades calls on you to return, and teach the next generation, from there he'll know what to do. Now do it, kid, before I die of old age. Zabuza laughed as he spit up blood. Naruto steeled himself, and with shaky hands, plunged his kunai into Zabuza's chest. Thank you, Naruto. Goodbye, my friend. Goodbye, my friend. Naruto said, as tears rolled down his cheeks. Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi looked down at the boy who had just taken his first life. Even if it had been a mercy killing. Jace Naruto. You said that when a ninja dies in action or goes rogue, their body is destroyed on the spot, so that their secrets are kept, right? That's right. I don't know any fire jutsu, so would you do me a favor? Honor them, and burn them, like true shinobi. Naruto said, not lifting his head, for fear if he did his tears would flow stronger than the tides below them. Of course, Naruto, I should have enough chakra for at least that. Kakashi smiled slightly, as he flashed through hand seals. The Konoha shinobi, and the people of Waves watched, as the bodies of two fallen shinobi returned to dust. That night, as Naruto slept, before his long journey home. As he slept, visions of his new blade filled his mind. A seal on the bottom of the handle that would release a scroll, one on the side of the pommel containing training weights, and what looked to be a wooden replica of the sword with seals on it that would make it heavier the more chakra that was added to it. After a much less eventful return to the leaf, Kakashi had instructed the team to take some time off after they reported to the Hokage. He had not so subtly motioned to Sasuke that the two of them would go for one-on-one training later. The moment Naruto had been given clearance to leave his team, he made his way to their usual training ground, and unsealed both the scroll and the practice sword from the hilt. The Bloody Mist style, this style relies heavily on speed, the silent killing technique, and the hidden mist jutsu. Naruto read aloud as he continued to scan through the scroll, before his eyes landed on the instructions for the hidden mist jutsu, as well as the water walking technique, and the basic katas of the style. What most people didn't know, was that Naruto had learned the secret of the shadow clones on the bridge in Waves. After his clones had dispelled from helping with the bridge, he'd remembered everything they learned, and even felt his chakra control increase when he had used them to walk along the sides of the bridge, and smooth the mortar on the stones. So creating a small bundle of 50 clones, Naruto instructed 25 to practice water walking, 20 to practice katas, and 5 to go to different points of the field, and practice the hidden mist jutsu. While his clones were working on their assignments, Naruto placed the training weights on his arms, legs, and the vest-like weight over his chest. Once they were securely in place, the young blonde began adding chakra to the weights until they reached the desired weight. In total the weights only equaled 50 pounds, but to Naruto it was a good start, as he began jogging laps around the training field. The burned orange of sunset saturated the night sky, as the novice swordsman laid in the open field. His chest rising, and falling steadily, as he absorbed the information of his clones. With only 5 clones working on the hidden mist jutsu, he had managed to learn the jutsu, but it still took a few minutes for him to completely cover the area. The drawback could be negated with the use of a shadow clone, while he distracted the opponent. However, that only worked if he was one-on-one. The plus side was if he were given a mission along the lines of assassination, he'd be able to roll the mist in, and in most cases make it look natural. The 25 clones working on water walking had also managed to cut down the time it took to learn the technique, and while he couldn't fight a prolonged battle on water like Kakashi or Zabuza, he could stay on the water and lightly jog for about 3 minutes before his control slipped. The goal was to be able to sprint on the water for an hour, before sparring with his clones on the water surface for at least 20 minutes. The last 20 had given him a basic understanding of his new weapon, but he was still nowhere near proficient, or strong enough to swing the blade with the speed of its former master. Making his way back towards his apartment, Naruto made a quick detour by the library, and checked out several books from the genin section. The books covered shinobi etiquette, basic battle formations for 4 and 3-man cells, geometry for studying the angle, and velocity to hit targets at different angles with kana and shuriken, diversion tactics, basic taijutsu styles, advanced jutsu theory, a scroll on the shunshin, and advanced stealth techniques. That night as he slept, the young swordsman left a clone to study each book. With each clone only using enough chakra to sustain themselves, they managed to keep themselves sustained the entire night. The following morning, Naruto left the clones to reread the books until they dispelled on their own, while the original went to meet his team for their morning exercises. More like Kakashi will tell Sakura, and had to work on chakra control and physical conditioning. Naruto said, as he exited the apartment, only to be stopped by the clone studying etiquette. "Boss, you're gonna wanna take a look at this," he said, handing the boy the book, with a page open. The original took the book from his clone, and read the page over several times. "This is perfect. Reread the book for about another hour, and then dispel. I'm gonna need the information when my team meets with Hihi." "Naruto baka, you're late," Sakura yelled as her blonde teammate arrived at the training ground. "Note that Kakashi still isn't here, so your argument is invalid and pointless," Ei said coldly. Over their trip back to the village, and the day following it, Naruto had reevaluated his feelings for the pink-haired girl. Even when he was battered and bloody, the only thing she cared for was the Uchiha. "What the hell do you think you're saying, baka? Don't try and be cool, you dope," she yelled, attempting to swing her fist at the young Uzumaki, only for her wrist to be snatched out of the air by the blonde. "I am not the punching bag for your emotional fits, Haruno," the blonde said coldly, as a storm of rage poured from his eyes into the young genin's soul. "I also feel I should inform you that I ordered a 730 evaluation to be conducted this afternoon, as I feel you are a danger to yourself and others in the field, as well as mentally unstable given your continued misconduct of attacking a fellow Konoha shinobi outside of a sanctioned spar." Sakura was shocked, first by the fact that Naruto had stopped her from hitting him, something he had never done before, and second by not only the fact that Naruto knew what a 730 evaluation was, but that he had the guts to call her on it. A smirk played on her lips as she remembered one of the statutes to calling a 730 hearing. "You can't do that, baka, only a superior officer can call for a 730. "You're right, I merely suggested it, and allowed Inochi Yamanaka to search my memories for the appropriate memories that would corroborate my testimony. He agreed with my assessment, and relayed the information to the Hokage. Both men agreed that you were in need of the exam to determine your suitability for continued service in the shinobi forces. Naruto, such things should be sorted in-house, before bringing them to the Hokage. You shouldn't go around your chain of command." Kakashi spoke, as he arrived from behind the young blonde. "I didn't go around the chain of command. The Hokage asked to speak with me about my new sword, and wanted to warn me that any surviving members of the 7 swordsmen, such as Kisame Oshigaki, who is still at large, may come looking for revenge, and to reclaim Kubikiribocho." "But didn't Zabuza say Kisame would help you if you met?" Kakashi reminded him. "Kisame was only an example. Aside from him, there are another 5 of the 7 still out there. In addition to that, you have any number of missing ninja from Kiri who may seek to get back in their good graces by killing me. Kiri is also currently in a civil war. There's nothing saying the current Mizukage won't send out a squad to retrieve it from me. Currently it's known that 4 of the blades are missing. 2 are in the hands of Kiri's missing ninja. 1 is a S rank, and 1 is an A rank. The easiest option would be to fake a missing ninja, and have me killed. The return of Kubikiribocho would be a great moral boost to the regime." While we were having this informal conversation, he asked me how training was going, and to give him details of the goings-on of our team, in order to ensure that our team was prepared for the possibility of a Kiri assassination attempt on our next out-of-village mission. When I informed him of the goings-on of Squad 7, as is my duty to report when asked by the Hokage, he asked for my recommendation. I gave it to him. He also instructed me to deliver Squad 7 to his office when you arrive. Kakashi scowled at the thought of his genin going behind his back, but nodded. All right then, Squad. We shouldn't keep the Hokage waiting. He said flatly, before turning to lead his group to the tower. Hiruzen Sarutobi prided himself on his level-headed demeanor. On a normal day he could listen to the most irritating of news and recommendations, most of which came from his civilian council. However, today was not one of those days. So in summation, you neglected the training of 2 of your students in favor of the third, and while favoritism of any kind is not allowed, that third student already had the most resources to begin with in the form of clan scrolls and training manuals. Your deliberate neglect led to the endangerment of your genin squad on their first C-rank mission. Okage-sama, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Sasuke needs that extra training to avenge his clan. Sakura blurted out, before she shrunk back in fear at the cold glare the normally warm men sent her way. Don't think I've forgotten about you, Miss Hirono. Multiple accounts of assaulting a fellow Konoha shinobi, and accusations of failure to adapt. You do know, Miss Hirono, that if you fail to show significant improvement within 6 months you'll be recycled to the next senior shinobi class. Sakura paled at the thought of being separate from her Sasuke-kun. Please, Okage-sama, I have improved. I learned the tree walking technique. A simple chakra control exercise that should have been taught to you in the first month of your training. Not when you were behind enemy lines, in an active combat zone. Hiruzen chastised. Then what about Naruto? Wouldn't he be sent back too? Sakura questioned, trying to throw Naruto under the bus for causing their problems in the first place. Naruto Uzumaki can do what no other genin can do with the Shadow Clone Jutsu. I have several other skills under my belt. If necessary, I'm more than willing to demonstrate my new skills to you. That won't be necessary, Naruto-kun. Your new sensei will be more than happy to test your skills once you've both been acquainted with each other. New sensei Okage-sama? Kakashi asked. Yes, Naruto is being removed from Team 7, as he has been requested for an apprenticeship by Yugao Usuki, Konoha's top Kenjutsu expert. Sakura will have a 730 hearing to determine her mental competency, and if she passes she will be tested. If she is found to have not improved she will be recycled to the next academy class after the new restructure an elder Danzo will be implementing. Sasuke will be reclassified as your apprentice, and you will receive several marks on your record putting you on Jonin probation for the next year. Now everyone except for Nin Uzumaki is to vacate my office. The other 3 other shinobi exited the room. An elderly man wrapped in bandages, and carrying a cane entered the room, with a small smile. I have to thank you, Naruto-kun, Hiruzen, and I have been trying to reform the academy for the past several years, but the civilian council has been blocking us, citing that there was no evidence of a need to reform it in these times of peace. Danzo said, looking down at him. That's foolish at best, and willfully negligent at worst. In times of peace we should have the best education. During a war we need bodies, we would have to give the bare minimum instruction, and send them off to fight. During peace times we have the luxury of time for more in-depth instruction. Naruto spoke, remembering the book his clone had read the night before. The book that had been written by the bandaged man before him. Very well put, Naruto-kun. I see you have been doing a bit of individual study in your days since the academy. I look forward to seeing your progress during the Chunin exams in a few months. The elderly man said, with slight pride, before removing a scroll from his robes. I'd like you to have this. It's a scroll on my own jutsu, the vacuum bullet. Consider it my thanks for your indirect help with the academy. Naruto took the scroll, and looked up at the man before him. Are you sure, Danzo-san? This seems like a valuable gift for indirect help. Think nothing of it, Naruto-kun. It's a bit selfish of me if I were being honest. I have nowhere to pass my knowledge down to, so knowing that my knowledge may help to save a talented young shinobi's life is good enough for me. Besides, the strength your actions today will bring to the village will more than even the scales between us. You must know that once you have become acquainted with your new sensei, I will be calling on you for a C-rank mission to take care of some bandits in the northern part of the country. You see, Naruto-kun, Danzo here is one of the 2 individuals responsible for our major intelligence networks. The second is my old student Jiraiya. It is why he and Danzo are rarely in the same place at the same time. I see. That is why your student is rarely seen in the village. Though if you could convince your other wayward student to return, it would boost our morale and improve our medical program. Naruto said, as he looked at his grandfather figure. I would if I could, Naruto-kun, but Tsunade is in a very emotional state. Hiruzen, that was almost 30 years ago. The woman has been using it as an excuse to shirk her responsibilities as a clan head and a kunoichi of this village. Tsunade has been through a lot, Danzo. She lost her lover and her brother. Is that all? Naruto spoke, surprising the two men. Every shinobi has lost people. Sasuke lost his entire clan in one night at the hands of his own brother. My parents were killed the night of my birth by the very beast that was sealed inside of me, and Kakashi lost his father and squad during the Third World War. Naruto-kun is right, every shinobi has lost something important to them. Hiruzen sighed, seeing that his hands were tied. Grabbing a scroll from the nearby desk, he began to write down a message. Naruto-kun, meet your sensei at the main gate tomorrow morning. Track down Tsunade, and tell her I am giving her orders to return to the village immediately. If she refuses to come with you, tell her you are authorized to follow, and detain her. You and Yugao can train during the trip, and use it as a chance to get to know each other. This will be another long-term C-rank mission, so get whatever affairs you have in order for at least a month of travel. Of course, I'll report in as soon as possible. Naruto spoke, before being dismissed. The rest of Naruto's day was spent training with his clones on the Hidden Mist, Water Shockwave, Vacuum Bullet, Taijutsu Kadas, and Kenjutsu Kata. After his training was complete, he paid his rent for the month, and stopped by a shinobi shop for some extra kana and a new wardrobe. Deciding to say a fond farewell to his orange jumpsuit, he instead opted for a black form-fitting tank top and cargo pants. Naruto couldn't help but stare for a moment at the beauty who stood before him. Her heart-shaped face was framed by long royal purple hair. Her red pouty lips were formed into a stoic expression. You must be Yugao sensei. Naruto said, with a smile. Yes, and you're Naruto Uzumaki, my new apprentice, and wielder of the legendary Kobokere Hocho. Now that we know each other's names, we should get moving. Danzo Dono ese sources say Tsunade is north of here, Ayayo Kane. We need to arrive there quickly, before she runs out of gambling money and skips town. We can focus on your training during our return trip, and make a small vacation out of it. Sounds good, you set the pace, and I'll keep with you. Naruto spoke in a surprisingly professional tone. Can you keep up with mid-chunin speeds? Yugao asked. Naruto replied by forming a ram seal and dispelling his weights. I can now, let's go. Yugao nodded, taking note to ask the young Uzumaki about the amount of weight he was using for training. Deciding their current mission was more important, the two of them decided to take off with no further questions. It took several hours, moving at mid-chunin speeds, before the pair made it into the small town of Ayayo Kane. The town mainly consisted of a handful of mansions and a couple of apartment complexes, but the largest buildings were the casinos. Dozens of the large casino hotels litter the streets as Naruto and Yugao walked towards the gates. Naruto looked at Yugao and removed his headband before sealing it and his blade in his arm. What are you doing, Naruto? It's one thing if a couple is walking around looking for Tsunade, but if she catches wind two Konoha shinobi are looking for her, she'll bolt before we ever get close to her. Yugao almost kicked herself at the realization. Naruto-kun, would you mind standing watch while I go change into some civilian clothes? My Jonin outfit will give me away just as much as my headband. Of course, Yugao-sensei. Naruto nodded, looking at her. Actually, since it's just us, Naruto-kun, you can just call me Yugao. Calling me sensei during undercover ops may arouse some suspicion. Of course, Yugao-chan. I'll stand guard. A tree over there looks big enough for you to have cover. I said, pointing to a fairly wide tree. Yuga's cheeks flushed slightly at the boy's choice in honorifics, but she quickly hid it by moving behind the tree. Naruto leaned against the tree on the opposite side of the road, in order to draw the attention of anyone who happened to walk down the road. Speaking of attention, Naruto was trying not to pay attention to the form of a changing Yuga, who was facing away from him behind the tree. It proved to be mostly impossible, as the tree proved not to be thick enough to completely hide Yugao's form from the bow. Whisk her back to him. Naruto could just make out the shape of her bubbly pale cheeks, as she bent over to remove her pants. The action also revealed a small Oni mask holding a tanto in its teeth tattooed just below her left cheek. As he noticed his new sensei exit from her impromptu changing room, Naruto decided to steal his features, to avoid being caught peeking. Instead he focused on her breathtaking form. Instead of the long-sleeved shirt, pants, and form-hiding vest, she now wore a pair of sandals, with leather straps that crisscrossed up her calves, and keyhole dress that exposed her E-cup cleavage. "You look breathtaking, Jugao-chan," Naruto said, as he continued running his eyes over her. Yugao's cheeks flushed once again, as she looked down at the blonde boy. "Damn neat, how does this boy keep making me blush? It is nice to know he thinks I'm beautiful though," Jugao thought, as she tried to shake off the blush. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. I'm glad you think so, because my boyfriend should think I'm beautiful." "You're what now?" Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. "My boyfriend. Our cover will be you're an amazing gambler with a lot of disposable cash. If we can get you winning, we can lure Tsunade out. Now you're gonna be lovey, kiss me, hold me, slap my ass every once in a while, but don't go overboard, or I'll rip your balls off. I promise to restrain myself, if you allow me to buy you dinner, and give you a foot job when we check into our hotel room tonight." My Naruto-kun, you wouldn't be asking me out on a date, would you?" Jugao said teasingly. "I wouldn't think of it, until I passed the Chunin exams." Naruto smirked and kissed her hand. Jugao blushed slightly, as she turned her head away from him. "Save some of that for the gambling hall, Naruto-kun. Now tell me, do you have any pocket money to start with?" Naruto nodded, pulling out his oversized frog wallet. "I didn't know how long we'd be gone, so I decided to bring Gamma-chan along with me." He went ahead, and got enough Rio for long-term food and boarding. Jugao smiled slightly, looking down at the slightly shorter boy. "Well, that's good, Naruto-kun, but that'll be your gambling money. The Hokage has already given us an operating budget." As she finished speaking, a woman in a blank ambu mask, with the word "Any" written on it, dropped down in front of them. "Naruto-san, Danso-san ordered Rude in the area to report to you any news found on Tsunade. She is currently at the Valor Casino playing the slots, and waiting on a poker tournament to start. I have already entered you, and switched your dealer out with a Rude agent. Meanwhile I, and other agents will serve as servers, and other patrons while feeding you intel through this earpiece," she explained, handing him the earpiece. Naruto nodded, thanking the green-haired woman. "Thank you. What is your name, by the way?" "You may call me Fu, Naruto-san," the woman said with a bow. Naruto nodded, shaking the young woman's hand. "All right, Fu, I look forward to working with you. I'm going to head to the casino now, and try to earn some extra playing money." "Of course, Naruto-san. We've already rented the two of your room, and left several copings of the basics of poker in it. This way you can create several shadow clones to learn the game quickly, before the tournament." "That won't be necessary, you see I grew up in the red light district. The money he gave me only covered bills, and a small amount of food. He made money for shinobi gear, and clothes working as a broom boy at one of the gambling dens. He learned pretty much all the games, including poker." Naruto smiled, and kissed the back of her hand. "Thank you for your help though. He looked forward to seeing the beautiful face under that mask when the time comes." "All right, Casanova, let's get going," Jugao said, grabbing him by the hand, leading him towards the casino. Jugao was astonished at the skill Naruto had when it came to gambling. He hadn't even been getting help from the Rude at this point. He'd already somehow managed to get a hold of 500,000 Rio, between the roulette table, the blackjack table, and the craps tables. The kicker was, since Naruto had used his own wallet, he would get to keep the money he won. Naruto smiled, patting Jugao's upper thigh, while making it look like he was patting her ass. "He love, would you go, and get me Jack, and Coke?" he said, before placing another small stack of chips on 42. Jugao wondered why he would ask her for that, before it hit her. "You evil bastard, you're gonna fake getting drunk, before the tournament to throw everyone off. If Okage-sama didn't want to put you on display during the Chunin exams, I'd recommend you for a promotion for this." Naruto's winning streak continued well into the tournament, with Yugao bringing him numerous jack and cokes throughout, until only he and Tsunade were left. The only reason Tsunade had remained this long was because she kept buying baki. Now she was down to her last few chips, which she threw in and Naruto raised against. Damn it, I can't call that. Tsunade growled. Then how about a bet, ma'am? Naruto smirked, looking her over. What kind of bet, brat? Tsunade raised an eyebrow looking down at her cards. I'll go all in exchange you bet that necklace, and agree to do me one favor of my choice after the match. Tsunade looked down at the 3 kings she currently held in her hand. Deal, brat, what do you want anyway? Looking to cup a feel in front of your girlfriend? She laughed, trying to tease him. Naruto for his part simply stuck his tongue out at the woman, and grinned. Ladies first. Smirked. Tsunade grinned, and amidst a small amount of clapping placed her pair of kings on the table, resulting in a 3 of a kind. Nice try, kid, but you lose. Naruto merely smiled. I believe that's my line, beautiful. Naruto said, throwing down a jack and a 10. Resulting in a straight. Tsunade's jaw dropped, as she looked at the cards on the table. I'll meet you in room 204 pulgadas 10 minutes to discuss that favor. 10 minutes later, Tsunade stood in front of Naruto in his hotel room. Alright, kid, let's get this over with. She said, handing him the necklace, before she grabbed his hand and moved it inside her top, allowing him to freely grope her breast. Well, the bragging rights on groping the 5th Hokage are going to be amazing. Naruto grinned, squeezing her breast. Excuse me. You said the favor was going to be copping a feel, not being dragged back to Konoha. Tsunade yelled, slapping his hand away. No, you said getting a feel. Do you remember what my answer was? Naruto smirked. Tsunade's eyes widened, and her skin paled as she remembered that he had only stuck his tongue out at her. What makes you think I'll go back? It's not like you, or your little girlfriend could force me to go back. Simple, my girlfriend is an Umbu, who I'm confident could subdue your assistant, and I placed a chakra suppression seal on your chest when you put my hand in your top. He said, pulling her top open, revealing the tag on her right nipple. There are more than enough undercover shinobi in this hotel to subdue you if you try to run. It's not just a favor to me, but an order from the 3rd Hokage for you to return to Konoha, and head up a new medical program, though I'm sure if the old man decides to return to his retirement, before I'm ready to take the hat, you'll be the top candidate. We could also use your help. You retaking your seat on the Shinobi Council as head of the Senju clan would help even the scales with the civilian council. We still Uchiha clan gun until Sasuke Uchiha makes Jonin. The civilians outnumber the Shinobi by 2, meaning we would have to get the elders to vote with us to get anything passed to the Hokage, and Kwaru normally sides with the civilians. You don't understand, I can't go back there. Tsunade said, looking away. A loud pop sounded around the room, as Naruto's hand connected with her cheek. You think you're the only one who has lost loved ones in the line of duty? My parents were killed fighting the Kyuubi the night I was born. Before the 4th Hokage sealed it in me, my former teammate had his entire clan killed by his own brother, and was forced to relive it over and over in a genjutsu at the age of 8. My former sensei had both members of his genin squad killed during the 3rd World War. Do use your loss as an excuse to run from responsibility and gain pity from others. Do dishonor the memory and legacy of your loved ones. Now get your act together, and your big ass in gear, or so help me I will put you over my knee, and belt your ass like the child you're being. Naruto yelled loud enough for Yugao and Shisune to hear. Shizen wanted to rush past the young Umbu woman, and come to her master's defense, but she knew she'd never get past her, and more importantly, that her master needed to hear this. Tears threatened to spill over Tsunade's eyes, as she stared at the ground. Her eyes widened slightly, when she felt herself being pulled into the strong arms of her fellow blonde. I know it hurts. It hurts every day, and it never goes away. Do you think about what could have been if they hadn't died? The years you could have had, the years you lost. You think about it every day. Growing up in a house with my parents, getting trained by them. My mom waiting for me when I got home after the academy, telling them about my missions when I graduated. To have them beside me when he gave me the hat, and to watch them spoil my children. The pain never leaves, but I'll always be here to help you shoulder that pain. If you ever need to talk, or you just need someone to hold you, and tell you it will be alright, just say my name, and I'll come running for you. Naruto said, kissing the top of her head. Tsunade nodded against his chest as she tried to stop her crying. Thank you. We pack our bags and meet you downstairs in the morning. Naruto smiled and kissed her cheek. Just remember. If you try and run, I will hunt you down. He said, tickling her rib. The older woman giggled slightly and pulled away. Don't worry, I'll be waiting for you in the lobby in the morning. I'll even leave the chakra seal on as a show of faith. She said, opening the door, smiling at Yugao. He's gonna be a heartbreaker in a couple of years. If you're not careful, I may snatch him up. Yugao's face went pink as she looked away. He's not actually my boyfriend, that was just our cover. She said, waving her hands in front of her. Naruto sniffled, giving his best wounded puppy face. Yugao-chan, I thought you liked me. He said, as a tear formed in his eye. The three women's hearts broke as they stared into the blonde's big beautiful blue eyes. Shizune and Tsunade turned, sending death glares at their Rambu companion, though the woman didn't seem to notice, as she had already moved in a burst of speed to comfort her young genin. Oh Naruto-kun, of course I like you. He didn't mean to make you sad, but remember we can't go on a date until you pass the Chunin exams. Yugao said, pressing the boy's head into her cleavage. 2 weeks had passed since Naruto had found Tsunade. Since Hiruzen had approved a long-term mission, the team decided to stay just over a week at the nearby hot springs. None of the females had complained, due to the fact that Naruto had offered to pay for their rooms with some of the money he had won at the casino. Tsunade and Yugao had done a fair share of teasing, by entering the mixed baths 10 minutes after he entered every night. Now Naruto stood in front of one of the condemned apartment buildings of the red light district. After returning to the village, he had spoken with Hiruzen about investing some of his money into buying one of the condemned buildings in his neighborhood. Now with an army of clones, he was nearly finished bringing the building up to code. The working girls in the area were excited about having some upgraded housing. So Naruto-kun, how are the renovations going? A raven-haired woman, wearing a sheer tank top and a pair of short shorts asked. It's growing great, Kagome-chan. I even made sure to reserve your 2-bedroom on the top floor just like you asked. He smiled, hugging the older woman. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I know it will be a pain to carry the groceries up, but I just love the view the 3rd floor gives. She said with a smile. Oh, you don't have to worry about that, Kagome-chan. I had my clones build elevators on each end of the walkways, this way you can take the lift up, and not have to worry about the stairs, especially when it rains. Oh, you're the sweetest, Naruto-kun. The woman said, leaning down, giving him a kiss on the cheek. Well, I had some of the best women in the world looking out for me as a child. He said, giving the woman a hug. Now since you seem to be free, why don't you let me treat you to some ramen while my clones finish up here? They just need to finish painting and cleaning up, so by the time we get back, we'll be ready to see your apartment. He smiled, holding out his hand. You sure it's good for your shinobi reputation to be seen walking around with a hooker? Kagome asked, gesturing to her style of dress. First of all, I can't see how having a beautiful woman on my arm could be anything but good for my reputation, and second, if anyone has a problem with it, they can suck my blonde nuts. Naruto said, before he felt a hand smack the back of his head. Language, Naruto-kun, you may be a big bad shinobi now, but you're never too old to go over my knee. The 21-year-old woman said, looking down at him. Yes, Kagome-chan, I'm sorry. He said, giving her a hug. His face nestling in her neck just above her D-cup breast. Kagome-chan, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you since our genin days. Ayame said, as the two entered the small ramen stand. Naruto looked between the two women. Wait, you two were kunoichi? Naruto asked. Yeah, Kagome-chan was held back a couple of times, and then was in the reserves until my team graduated, and needed a third. After our first Chunin exams, we decided the shinobi life wasn't for us. Kagome went to work in the red light district, and I went to work full-time at the ramen stand. Naruto's eyes widened slightly. That's why you had those days you weren't around when I was a kid. You were on missions with your genin squad. Yup, we're technically still genin, but in the reserves. That means we'll only be called back to active duty in the event of a war, as a step before the draft, or in the case of an invasion to help get the civilians to the bunkers. I hope the two of you have been keeping up with your training in case that day comes. Naruto said. Kagome sighed, shaking her head. Unfortunately I don't have time. I can make my own schedule, but my time is split between work, light workouts to keep myself in shape, and sleep. Same here, though I have Sundays off, since Dad closes the shop that day to go get supplies from our vendors. Since I know the basics of chakra, he orders from a retired shinobi-owned vendor who gives him the supplies in storage scrolls, so he only has to carry a single backpack, and the ingredients stay fresh longer. Ayami added. I've got an idea then. Kagome, on Sunday nights I'll rent out your entire night. I know from my childhood Sunday nights are your slowest nights anyway, so the three of us will train together then. Sandas or when Yugao-sensei said I'd have the day off on Sundays anyway, because that's when Kurenai, Anko, Hana, and her get together for their girls' day when they're not on missions. You guys don't have to go as hard as I do, but I'd like you to keep the rust off. When I talked to Gigi and Elder Danzo, they seemed off. I don't know Danzo, but he seemed like something was bothering him. I just want you two to stay safe. Naruto said, hugging the both of them. We know Naruto-kun. We do some light sparring with you on Sundays in the afternoon. We're not looking to go back to active duty, but we'll be ready if something happens. Kagome said, rubbing his back. Ayame nodded, kissing his forehead. She's right Naruto-kun, we're not going anywhere. After a week of in-village training and D-rank missions, Naruto and Yugao stood in front of Hiruzen once again. It's good to see you Naruto-kun. I take it you're here about that C-rank Danzo request. That's right Naruto said, with a smile. Alright Naruto-kun, however I did talk to Danzo, and we decided with the size of the camp you'd need some backup. Guy's team has been around for a year, and they've only done one mission involving a killing. I'd like them to accompany you. Your senseis will stay back, and only interfere if they believe you are in imminent danger. Hiruzen said, as Team Guy entered the room. Guy you're here. He was just explaining to Naruto-kun that your team would be joining him on the bandit camp clearing mission. Now since the senseis will be back up on this mission, he want a field commander for the genin. Which is why I'd like Naruto-kun to take on that role. You can assign leadership roles to your team on your solo missions. However Naruto-kun is an apprentice, and Yugao wants to enter him in the Chunin exams, so I'd like him to get some experience leading a team. The Hyuga of the team seemed to scowl at the thought of a clanless rookie giving him orders, but wisely kept his mouth shut. That sounds fine Okage-sama. Naruto-kun we can leave in the morning, I'd like to get with you later to inform you of my team's strengths, so we can formulate a battle plan. Guy said with his trademark smile. That would be wonderful Guy-sensei, I think it would be best if your team joined me and Yugao-sensei for dinner at my place tonight. We can go over sales, and use the intel we have to develop a plan together. I don't have experience leading a team, so I'd like to take advantage of input from both of you while I have the chance. That is a wise decision Naruto-kun, you should always take advice from experienced comrades, when you're unsure of something. Hiruzen said, smiling slightly. The following morning the two teams took off to Northern Fire Country. Naruto had sent a small contingent of clones ahead of the teams for recon. Neji was placed in the center of the formation, and ordered to use his Byakugan in 5-minute intervals, every hour until they arrived at the affected town, then he'd use it for an hour to ensure the bandits were not inbound while the team was busy staging. How many are we looking at Neji? Naruto asked, as they sat in a bar within the affected town. 45, just like your intel said. The majority are regular bandits, however I sense 2 above average chakra signatures. My guess is high genin, to low chunin level. A replied. Alright then the plan stands. EAG used the water shockwave to flood the area, and take out as many as we can. The shinobi level signatures will likely no water walking, so once the cannon fodder is taken care of, we'll move in everyone stick to your assigned partners. Guy-sensei, when this is over, I would suggest some joint training with myself, and Yugao-sensei. Your team is skilled, however they're too specialized. I understand Lee's situation, and Neji being a Hyuga, however Tenden has the ability to round herself out a little more. If she were to come up against a wind user, say Asuna Shinobi during the Chunin exams, all of her weapons would be easily blown away. I believe you're right, Naruto-kun. Yugao and I will get together after the mission and come up with a once-a-week joint training program. Guy said. The bandits' camp was located within a small ravine, making them an easy target for Naruto's jutsu. Water style, water shockwave. Naruto said, as water swirled around him in a large geyser shape. In the ravine below, the bandits guarding the camp looked up at the edge of the ravine, staring in disbelief at the vortex in front of them. What the hell is that? One screamed, before the vortex turned into a large wave that collided with the camp, washing away the majority of the camp. When the water cleared, many lay dead from the impact, while some struggled to wade in the 4 feet of water. While 2 men stood on top of the water. It seems those villagers managed to sneak out a message and hire some shinobi Hobari. A black-haired man, with a scar running from his left eye down to his chest. It would appear so. Basachi. A blond man with a mask over his face replied. The 4 genin appeared in front of them, standing on the water. Hobari laughed at the sight of the 4 teens. Really, all they could afford was a few brats. Careful, Jovari, one of them just used a B-rank ninjutsu to change the entire battlefield to their advantage. Their Jonin senseis are probably nearby, and used the jutsu to give them a fighting chance, since we had the numbers advantage. Hobari scoffed. Naruto decided he was tired of their talking, and threw an explosive tag between the two, forcing them to separate. Lee and Naruto took on Hobari, while Tintin and Neji Basachi. So Jovari, I haven't read your name in the bingo book. I'm Hobari Tenmachi, C-rank missing ninja of Iwa. Which means putting leaf scum like yourself in your place will be icing on top of paying you back for my men. Lee, you've got the speed advantage, and we don't know what range this guy fights at, so I'll take him, and you watch my back. Naruto said, unsealing his Kobekiri Hocho from his arm. Hobari's eyes widened, as he stared at the sword. Where did you get that sword, bo? He said, narrowing his eyes. I am the legacy of the late Zabuza Mamochi. Before I killed him he made me promise to carry on the legacy of the Demon of the Mist. Naruto said, as he held up a hand, and deactivated his weight seals. Now I'm going to thank you before we start. The man raised an eyebrow, looking at the young Uzumaki. What the hell would you thank me for, Keith? I'm about to kill you, unless you want to die. No, nothing like that. I'm simply thanking you, because when you die it will add to my infamy, if only by a small margin. Naruto smirked, holding his hand up, as a thick mist began to roll in. So you think using the famous hidden mist jutsu will scare me? You're not even half as skilled as Zabuza in the silent kill. Hobari taunted, hoping to get Naruto to respond. Shows what you know, you're a dead man already. Got me, the voice of the blonde from his left. Got you. Here's his style, rock gun. She shouted, as he shot thick chunks of rock from his mouth towards the noise, only to stop last minute, and jump, as he felt the large blade come down on his shoulder. Jovari screamed in pain, as he clutched the thin strings of flesh and muscle that held his hanging arm to his torso. You fucking brat. It's funny how easy it is to disable the average shinobi. Juicy, shinobi just focus on flashy jutsu that will make them famous. They never think, what happens if one of my arms is disabled, and I can't use two-handed hand signs, meaning they become easy prey if you can take their arm out. Stop hiding, and fight me, you fucking coward. The man yelled, swinging his kunai. Why would I? Jure already dead. The voices around him said, as Naruto's blade came down on his neck. Lifting the mist, Naruto sealed the head, and turned to Lee. Lee, I'll let you take care of the stragglers. I'm going to hang back near Tenten and Neji in case they need backup. Lee nodded, and moved to take out the remaining bandits, while Naruto paid close attention to Tenten and Neji's fighting styles. He knew it was highly likely that guy would enter his team in the exams this year. Which meant there was a possibility that he'd have to fight one, or all of them at some point, and seeing as it didn't look like they would be needing his help, he might as well take this opportunity to watch them in action. After the battle, Tenten looked around, and for the first time, took notice of the sword on Naruto's back. Naruto, where did you get Kobekiri Hocho? From Zabuza himself. I killed him during Team 7's mission in waves. He asked me to do it, and take the sword to carry on the legacy of the demon of the mist. Naruto explained. Can I hold it? She asked, giving him her best puppy dog eyes jutsu. Well, I'm not sure if you can. Zabuza said I'd be the only one to be able to hold it, so I don't know if I'm able to give you permission to hold it. Tenten looked up at him with pleading eyes, hoping to get him to try. Please, Naruto-kun, I'd be ever so grateful. Naruto looked back at Yugao for help. Don't look at me, Naruto-kun, as the last Uzumaki, and the owner of one of the 7 swords of the mist, you'll be put in the CRA, not to mention the Uzumaki have a long history of polygamy. Which means you're on your own. She is Mirkit. Fine, when we get back to the village, we'll go to the training ground, and see if it works. If it doesn't, I know a man named Raga has the Kiba blades, so I'll take you with me when I go to kill him, and you can take the Kiba blades, but we will be working out an equal trade. The team made it back in record time, with Tenten pushing her Genin squadmates to their limit to get back. Lee, are you sure you're the only one training with weights? That felt much too fast for Tenten. Nay, he said. Niji ignored her team, and dragged her blonde companion to the nearest training ground. Oh right, Naruto-kun, what kind of deal would it take for you to let me touch Kobe-Karocho, and help me get my hands on the Kiba blades? Well, I need to get more used to the female body, so I don't fall for seduction techniques. How about you let me touch your butt, and I'll let you hold it for the same amount of time? Tintin thought about it for a moment. She knew that once she made Chunin she'd likely have to take her own seduction missions anyway, and allowing Naruto to touch her would make her more comfortable with the idea of a man touching her. How about this? Kunoichi take on the majority of seduction missions, meaning when I make Chunin, I'll likely have to take on some of those missions as well. Which means I'll need to gain experience too. If you let me hold the sword for 5 minutes, and help me get the Kiba blades, we'll be each other's training partners, and sex partners. This way the two of us can get used to it. You'll learn to resist seduction techniques, while learning how to pleasure a woman, and I'll learn how to seduce, and pleasure a man. Though we have a deal. Naruto thought about it for a moment, before nodding. That sounds good. The girls in the red light district gave me the basics, so I won't be going in blind, but I could use the hands-on experience. Tintin raised an eyebrow, looking at him with suspicion. Why have you been hanging out in the red light district? I've lived there since I was 4, Gigi gave me the apartment when the orphanage kicked me out. If your Gigi had the money for a second apartment, why didn't he just adopt you? Tintin asked. He is what I call the Hokage, since he's acted like my grandfather since I was a kid. Naruto explained. The civilian council made a law saying no one could adopt me. Apparently having the village Jinchuriki in any one family would tip the scales of power too much. He was also abused a lot as a child, so Gigi decided to put me somewhere where people didn't care about your past. My money was as green as everyone else's, and now that I'm investing it back into the area, they like me even more. The girls there have watched out for me since I was little, and trust me, no one wants to take off a prostitute. One of them blackballs you, the rest will never speak to you again. They sound like honest, hard-working people. Tintin said, as she tried to lift the massive sword. This thing weighs a fucking ton. How do you even carry it? Naruto chuckled, watching his bun-haired comrade struggle with the massive weapon. There's a training version sealed in it. It starts out light, and gets heavier as you adjust to it. By the time it turns blue, you can swing the sword pretty well. Right now I'm working on gold. How do you do that? My muscles would be sore for days after that. The Kyubi gives me a healing factor. Things like sore muscles are gone in a few hours, the healing also makes my muscles grow faster. It's one of the reasons why Jinchuriki are thought of as perfect weapons. We can be trained into the ground, and be fine by the next morning. Naruto said, a little sadly at the end. Tenten placed the sword on the ground, and walked over, stroking the blonde's cheek. Naruto-kun, you are not a weapon. You are a brave shinobi, who is doing his best to protect the people he loves. I admire your spirit, and your drive. You've gone through so much at the hands of the village, and yet you still fight every day to protect it. She said, kissing his cheek, before pulling him into a hug. Naruto hugged her back, before the two decided to head back to his apartment for some second-base groping, and making out. Afterwards they spent the night eating ramen, and talking about their plans for the future. Naruto still wanted the hat, but he was now more focused on becoming the strongest shinobi in the village. While Tenten was hoping to convince Tsunade to give her some lessons on medical ninjutsu. Well, let's go see her. She does still owe me a favor. Before Tenten could question him, Naruto was dragging her along to the Senju compound. Hey Tsunade-chan, open up in there. Naruto yelled, banging on the door. The door swung open, and a fist shot out slamming into Naruto's head. What are you doing here, brat, and who said you could call me Tsunade-chan? Naruto popped up from the small crater in the ground, rubbing his head. Fine, Tsunade-ham, I'm here to collect that favor you owe me. What are you talking about? You used that favor to get me back here. She scoffed, turning her head so he couldn't see the light blush on her face. Technically that was an order from the Hokage for you to return. He never said it was the favor. Tsunade huffed slightly. Fine, what's the favor, want to cop another feel or something? She said, causing Tenten to look at Naruto in surprise. No, nothing like that. Though I wouldn't mind taking you on a small trip back to that casino when I take some vacation days before the Chunin exams. He smiled, kissing her hand. The truth is my friend here is a big fan of yours, and has always wanted to study under you. Here sensei is my guy, and as I'm sure you know, he focuses almost purely on taijutsu. Which is fine for his student Lee who can't use ninjutsu, or genjutsu, as well as his other student who is a hyuga, but it leaves Tenten with a limited skill set, and wastes a lot of her potential. Fine, I'll teach her some medical ninjutsu on her team's days off, but after this we're even. If you want me to do anything, you're going to take me out to a proper dinner, and butter me up like a real gentleman. Tsunade said, crossing her arms. That's fine, Tsunade-han. I'd take you out to dinner just to get an excuse to sit across from your beautiful smile. Naruto replied, with his trademark million-gigawatt grin. Baka, stop trying to be cute. She said, looking away. Tsunade-sama, I have a question. Why do you act like a teenager sometimes? Tenten asked, looking up at the taller woman. My grandmother was Mito Uzumaki. Like Naruto-kun, I have Uzumaki blood in me. Though I know we're from different branches, because Mito Ba-chan was an only child. Uzumakis are blessed with large chakra reserves, and by extension long lifespans. This causes the Uzumaki to have childlike mentalities longer. For example, chronologically I'm 50, but physically and mentally I'm only about 19. The truth is I don't actually use my advanced henge for anything except ducking creditors. Tsunade explained. So that means Naruto-kun is? Tenten asked. Mentally 13. The Uzumaki blood keeps us in our prime longer. For me my prime was 19 during the Second Shinobi World War. Naruto-kun still hasn't reached his prime yet, so he's still growing mentally. She smiled, rubbing his head. Deciding he had enough teasing, Naruto leaned in, and whispered in the taller blonde's ear. I may still be growing, but I'm big for my age. After a healthy amount of teasing, Naruto left Tsunade and Tenten to get acquainted while he went home for a well-deserved shower. That night in the dark underground of Konoha, a bun-haired girl met with a one-eyed elder. Well, Tenten, how is he doing? He's progressing well, Danso-sama. He wants to make the village strong, and even burned a favor from a Sanin to get me training from Tsunade Senju. He still shows signs of that depression your rude agents reported in his younger years, however it seems to be fading now that he's making more ties in the village. I believe if he is promoted during the Chunin exams, and placed in the CRA it will fully disappear once he's planted his own roots in the village. Currently he's renovating one of the apartments in the red light district. He believes the more he invests in the area, the stronger his ties will become. He also seems to have a high affinity for the local prostitutes, apparently they played a hand in raising him. Danso nodded. Yes, I'm aware of his relationship with the women of that area. I planted a rude agent in that area as one of the prostitutes when he was younger. She would take extra food, and cook books, and leave them in his apartment when he was younger. It's one of the reasons he's not a ramen-addicted fool. Is there anything else? Yes, he has agreed to help me track down Raiga, and retrieve the Kiba blades for my own use. Meaning if he can track down Kisame, Konoha will have 3 of the 7 swords of the mist in our possession. I hope he doesn't find Kisame until after the Chunin exams. If he does, we can have Kisame placed under his political protection as a vassal of the Uzumaki clan. If you obtain the Raiga, will you be interested in marrying into the Uzumaki clan to consolidate the three blades? I admit I am growing more fond of him. I know you only told me to be friendly if I ever wound up on a mission with him, so he'd think of me as a friend, but if things continue on the track they're on, I could possibly see myself as one of his romantic partners. Tintin admitted. That will be all, Tenten. Return back next week for another update. Danzo said, dismissing his agent. Ai Danzo-sama, Tintin said, before leaving. Danzo chuckled to himself, as he looked at a black and white oil painting of the village from just after Hiruzen's coronation. The future flame of the leaf, marrying its future shadow. Naruto-kun, you never cease to amaze me. Ieji apologized to lying to you later, but there are so few of us wind users in our village. Even my own heir is a earth user. He said, leaning back in his chair. In the month following Naruto's mission with Team Guy, and Yuga had gotten into a routine of doing training and day ranks 1 week, and a short-term C rank the following week. The regime gave Naruto the ability to train on a subject 1 week, and put it into practical application the following week. He'd also gotten himself into the habit of leaving his clones to study at his apartment while he was out of the village. Now the two-person team stood in front of their Hokage, and a young brown-haired girl in a blue shoulderless belly shirt, shinobi pants, and a blue apron skirt. Her Konoha plate was wrapped around her waist as a belt, and her blue eyes staring at Naruto. Ayugao, Naruto-kun, you're here. I'd like you to meet Eri. She was a year ahead of you at the academy. We had uneven teams last year, so she was forced to stay as a reservist for a year. She's been doing day ranks for the hospital and the academy for the past year. I was hoping that since you and Yugao are a two-person cell, you'd be willing to accept her as the third member of your team. Since you're filed as an apprentice, it is up to the both of you to decide whether or not you want to accept her. Hiruzen explained. Id stepped forward and looked at the two. Naruto, Yugao-sensei, I've been waiting a year for the opportunity to join a team. It is very rare that a reservist is given this opportunity. Most are forced to wait until 3 uneven classes graduate, or a team loses a member, either through one member dying, being promoted, or dropping from the program. If you accept me, I'll work as hard as possible to contribute to the team. Naruto walked forward, staring into her eyes. They'd always been able to tell when people were lying. He didn't know if it was his naturally good senses, or something to do with the Kyuubi, but he was thankful for it either way. Turning to his sensei, he smiled. I like this one sensei, she's got kind eyes, and her hands say she's a hard worker. Well, there you have it. Welcome to the team. Yugao smiled. Iris eyes lit up, before she tackled Naruto, hugging him. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She cried out, hugging him. Naruto stood up, patting her on the head. Hee, why is it when I talk to women, I'm always the one who winds up being attacked? Yugao giggled, ruffling her student's hair. That's because you're so cute, Naruto-kun, the ladies can't keep their hands off of you. Naruto crossed his arms, giving his sensei a slight pout. Let's just go to the training grounds. Now that we've got a new member, we need to go over new group formations. Yugao sighed, rubbing her forehead. Always with the training with this one, even on his days off. You're kidding? Id asked skeptically, as most rookie genin only did the bare minimum. Nope, every day he's doing some kind of training. Though that stamina will come in handy later on. Yugao teased. I can't hear you, I'm already headed to the training ground. Naruto said, jumping out of the window. Yugao giggled, looking at Eri. We should go, before he destroys the training ground again. Again? Iri asked. It's better if you see what he's doing. Yugao said, escorting the young girl to her team's normal training ground. When they arrived, Eri was shocked to see several groups of Naruto's training on different subjects. What is he doing? He's using shadow clones to train in katas, ninjutsu, and chakra control. If I leave him alone, he normally has them work on mastering skills he's already learned. Iri stared in amazement. I wish I could learn the shadow clone. That would make training so much easier. It takes a large amount of chakra, and puts a heavy mental strain on the user. If you can get your chakra levels up to Jonin, we'll talk about you learning it. Jugao said. Now I take it you know the tree walking technique? Yes, and water walking. Good for today, we'll have you do water running to increase your chakra reserves. If you do well with it by our first break, I'll have you balance a kunai on your head while you do it, then tomorrow we'll work on your ninjutsu. Since Naruto-kun has already set his clones up while he does his physical exercises, I'll focus on you for the day. Jugao said, with a smile. The team decided to take a break for lunch around noon, at which point Jugao decided to raise a question. Naruto-kun, what level of Fuinjutsu have you gotten to? Naruto looked up from his bento, and swallowed the mouthful he had been chewing. Around level 6, meaning I can currently make elemental seals, and gravity seals. Why? I was hoping you could get Airi-chan started with some low-level gravity seals after lunch. This way we can work on her speed, so we don't have to slow down as much during C-rank missions. Jugao suggested. Sure, I can apply them after lunch. I said, before looking at Ari. You can keep your breast covered, but I'm going to need you to remove your shirt though. Airi looked at him in curiosity, wanting to reserve judgment until after he had explained. Okay, but what? I'll need to put a seal on your stomach, as well as the ones on your arms and legs. This will evenly distribute the weight, instead of concentrating it in your legs. It's one of the reasons I don't like Lee's training method. His weights are heavy, but having all of the weight concentrated in the legs will cause him joint problems later on in life, because he's putting hundreds of pounds of pressure on his joints with every step he takes. If he were to use my method instead, he'd be able to use the same amount of weight, while at the same time distributing the load amongst all of his joints rather than just the ones in his legs. Which reminds me, you can keep your underwear on, and skirt on for modesty, but your leggings will need to come off, since your thighs will provide a much larger surface than your ankles to work with. I'm still not proficient enough in sealing to use things like micro seals. Naruto explained. I'll take it, if you think it will make me stronger, just make sure you keep your hands away from the fun parts. 3 dates minimum before you get to touch those with the clothes on. Ivy said, crossing her arms. Dang Ivy, you're pretty forward, already thinking about a 3rd date. Jugao giggled. Ivy blushed, waving her hands. That's not what I meant. I mean, yeah, he's cute, but... What I mean? She sputtered out. Naruto smiled, kissing his new teammate's cheek. Don't worry, Airi-chan, I think you're cute too. Alright ladies man. Hurry up with the seal, so we can get back to training. Jugao said, gently smacking the back of his head. Naruto nodded, and waited for Eri to strip, before he began applying the seals to her body. Wow Airi-chan, your skin is so soft, and clear. You make the perfect canvas. It complimented absent-mindedly. The compliment caused his comrade's cheeks to turn bright red. Thank you Naruto-kun. No one really notices how much I try to take care of myself. Even been told I've got a very plain look to me. Naruto finished applying the seals, and grabbed her by the chin. Listen here Airi-chan, you are a beautiful young lady, and if anyone says otherwise, well they can come talk to me, and I'll shove my foot so far up their ass, the water on my knee will quench their thirst. I said, kissing her cheek. Ivy giggled, kissing his cheek. Thank you Naruto-kun. You're like a giant ball of sunshine that just brightens up everyone's day. Alright you two, you can suck face after training, if you have the energy. Jugao said, interrupting the moment. Naruto smiled, and kissed Jugao's cheek. Yes Jugao-chan. He said, before showing Eri how to activate the seals. Hey Naruto-kun, why do you call Jugao-sensei, Jugao-chan? Eri asked, activating the seals, which caused her to drop to one knee. Yeah, I should have warned you about that. By the looks of your arm seals, you pumped in enough chakra for an extra 150 pounds total. Naruto explained. As for why I call her Jugao-chan. She told me to only call her Jugao-sensei when we're in front of others outside of our team. This way if we're on an undercover mission, like when we went to get Tsunade-chan. We didn't want to spook her, and run the risk of her taking off on it, so I was given permission to call her Jugao-chan. That's right Eri, and I want you to do the same. During team meetings, and on missions that don't involve escorting or guarding a client. I want you to refer to me by name. Jugao instructed. Now try, and walk. I want you to do as many laps around the training ground as you can until you can't walk. Yes, Jugao-chan. Airi smiled, before taking labored steps around the training area. Seems you've got another admirer, Jugao-chan. So'll that be jealous? Naruto chuckled and stretched. Oh shush, you act like you haven't been flirting with every kunoichi we've met since we teamed up. Juga teased back. I don't know what you're talking about, Jugao-chan. I only hold conversations. It's not my fault if my words are smoother than cream cheese on your morning bagel. He smirked, giving her a slap, before running off to continue his training. I'm gonna get him back for that when he passes the Chunin exams. She said to herself, as she thought of the dress she'd had her on for the past few weeks. After an exhausting day of training, Naruto was determined to make his way home, and take a long hot shower. His plans were brought to a grinding halt, when he walked into his apartment to find Tenten wearing a lacy black bra with red ribbon straps, and matching panties. Welcome home, Naruto-kun. Naruto's eyes roamed over Tenten's athletic form. From her angelic face, down her high beak-up breast, her toned stomach, and over her wide powerful hips. You look beautiful, Ten-chan, but what are you doing? Tenten smirked, walking towards him, with an exaggerated sway in her hips. Why, I'm seducing you, of course. She said, walking up to him. Slat lemon. Tenten grabbed the blonde man by the arm, and pushed him onto the couch. You look so tired, Naruto-kun. I think you need to sit back, relax, and let me make you feel better. She said, spreading his legs apart. I mean, I did have a long day at training today. Jugao-chan and I got a new teammate from the reserves today, so we had to add team exercises to our training routine. My poor Naruto-kun. Just sit back, and let your sweet Ten-chan make you feel better. She smiled, pulling his zipper down with her teeth. With one swift movement, the young kunoichi stripped her partner of his pants and boxers, allowing all 9.5 inches of his erect member to lurch forward from its confines. Wow, Naruto-kun, you must really like my outfit. She giggled, giving his head an experimental lick. Naruto let out a slight moan, looking down at his lover's chocolate brown eyes. Ten-chan, you'd look beautiful in a potato sack. He said, running his fingers through her hair, which was now pulled around her shoulders. The young kunoichi's cheeks turned bright red, as she slowly stroked the thick member in front of her. I'm supposed to be doing the seducing here, sweet talker. She said, before taking him into her mouth, moving it back and forth across the first 5 inches of his cock. I think you're doing an amazing job. He said, through several moans. One hand clawing the sofa, as the other moved to Tenten's resting shoulder, lowering the strap of her bra. Tenten smiled, and aided him by removing her straps, and unhooking her bra. Her mouth never left his cock, as the article of clothing fell to the floor in front of her. Her light brown nipples standing perfectly erect in the cool air. The blonde genin stared in awe of his beautiful partner, as his hand made its way down to her right breast, giving it a light squeeze. The young brunette let out a moan against the cock in her mouth. Her partner's fingers finding their way to her nipple. Naruto-kun, if you keep that up you might have to finish what you start. She purred, licking his tip. Naruto responded by hoisting her onto his shoulder, and walking to the bedroom, where he pulled her panties down, and laid her on top of him, with her womanhood in his face. His lips immediately latched onto her clit, creating a vacuum that pulled blood into the small bundle of nerves, stretching them out, as his tongue narrowed, and flicked over it. Tenten let out a small cry of pleasure. Before she quickly wrapped her lips back around his cock. Her head began moving faster, taking more of his length into her mouth with each stroke. Naruto's own mouth was busy making circles around her clit, as his fingers traveled back to her breast, rolling, and pulling lightly on her nipple. The action elected more moans from the brunette, which in turn increased the vibrations around his cock. Tenten's eyes closed, as she lowered her mouth to the base of her partner's cock. Her tongue sloppily running around the shaft of his member. Ten-chan, I'm gonna come. He warned in a muffled voice, as he continued to assault her clit with his tongue. Tenten screamed around his cock, as she was sent over the edge with pleasure. her juices splashing against Naruto's face. The immense vibration against his already pulsing member caused Naruto to erupt in Tenten's mouth. His seed spraying the back of the young kunoichi's throat. Lemon in. Tenten laid next to her blonde lover, a smile on her face. I know we're just supposed to be practicing with each other, but would you mind if I laid with you for a bit? My legs are kind of weak, and you're a perfect teddy bear. I don't mind, Ten-chan. I enjoy spending time with you, so if you're going to give me an excuse to cuddle with you, then I'm not going to say no. He smiled, wrapping an arm around her waist. How has your training with Tsunade-chan been going? It's going well. We've been doing a lot of chakra control exercises, and studying a lot of anatomy. She says we can start on actual medical ninjutsu next week, now that I've caught up on advanced anatomy. How's your individual training going? Have you made any progress on the Bloody Mist style? It took a while, but I've managed to make a lot of headway. It relies on a lot of physical strength and leverage. I likely won't be able to utilize it to its full potential until I have another growth spurt. True, but mastering the katas now will give you a big advantage when you are big enough to use it. Also, studies have shown that a person's body type can be altered in puberty based on the activities they took part in during their formative years. Meaning if you're swinging around that sword now, you'll likely gain a more muscular physique in your adult years. She explained, absent-mindedly rubbing his pack. I'm glad I've got such a smart girl helping me out. He responded, kissing her cheek. I know there's a chance we'll have to fight each other in the Chunin exams, but I still want to see you become the strongest kunoichi you can be. I feel the exact same way. You can see the progress you're making every day. You don't need to see the future to know that you're going to be one of the strongest shinobi the world has ever seen, and I want to be standing alongside you when that happens, whether it be as a friend, lover, or partner. I want that too, Tenten. When I'm Hokage, I'd very much like you to be one of the Umbu in my guard, or one of the next generation of Sannin, meaning we're both going to have to train our hardest in order to make those dreams come true. I know Naruto-kun, and I know we can do it. We've got each other, my team, your team, Hokage-sama, and Tsunade-sama. From what I can tell, we also have the support of old man Danzo. He's a lot more stern than Hihi, but he seems like he'll do anything to make the village stronger, and keep it safe. It replied, pulling her closer, his thumb rubbing her shoulder. Tenten's heart lifted slightly, when Naruto said he considered Danzo an ally. Maybe we could ask him for help. He seems to be fond of me, he's given me basic access to his information network for mission intel. That's how you knew where Tsunade-sama was, and how many bandits were at the camp. Tenten guessed. Jace, I wouldn't be telling you this if I didn't trust you. I have a feeling Danzo is a private man, so don't say anything to anyone. He's trusting me with access to a very crucial resource when it comes to root. I don't want him to feel I can't be trusted. Tenten looked up at him, raising an eyebrow. What makes you think I can be trusted? She asked. It's one of the reasons I took you to Tsunade-chan. I'm basically a human lie detector. If I couldn't trust you I would have stopped talking to you after the first mission. Not to mention if Tsunade-chan thought I was letting you slide for being beautiful, and thought she couldn't trust you. Let's just say, you would have had an extremely bad training accident while learning her super strength technique. He said casually. So romantic to know you'd have your MILF girlfriend have me whacked. Tenten smiled, rolling her eyes. Not whacked, just knocked out, and kept under the Senju compound as my own personal sex slave. Naruto chuckled, tickling her rib. Tenten giggled, pushing on his chest. So what we have now, just without you having to come find me when you're in the mood? Given what happened today, I don't think I'd really have to come looking. Smirked, poking her underarm. Now let's take a nap. My clones are going to finish their work for the day on the second apartment complex at sundown, so I want to go take a look at it when they're done. That sounds good. Are you going to be moving into one of the units? No, with a couple of more C ranks, and rent from my operational building I'll be able to buy this building. I'm the only tenant here, which is why the landlord could never fix anything when I was growing up. He's getting up there in years, and wants to retire to a little retirement village in the land of hot water. He set me up a price that would give him what he needed to do it. So what are you going to do with the other units once you have it? Tenten asked. Well, first I'm going to put in some upgrades to the wiring and appliances in this one. You don't think that fridge has been upgraded since the second Shinobi War? Given the floor plans for the top floor, I could knock out the kitchen wall and the hall bathroom and turn the place into a 2-bedroom 1-bathroom, though I could open up the wall near the bedroom door, and add a master bathroom where this apartment's kitchen is, keeping the stove where it is, but adding more prep space to the other kitchen, and turning the other living room into a dining room. He was thinking of adding indoor stairs to the living room area, and turning the downstairs area into a study. There's a wooded area right behind here that I'm hoping to buy it soon, and turn it into a part of the compound here in the red light district. You seem to have a very business-oriented mindset, Naruto-kun. Why is that? She asked, looking up at him. I learned early on in life that there are 3 measures of influence: knowledge, money, and raw power. With the second, you can get the other 2 easily, through books and hired muscle. You see money as a tool, I can use it to recreate the Uzumaki clan here in the village. I read about it recently in a book. If I'm really descended from them like Tsunade-chan said, then I want to bring my family's strength to the leaf. I use my money to improve lives in the village and bring more prosperity to our village. I'm thinking of investing in property in Suna as well. Why Suna? She asked curiously. Suna is currently our only ally among the Great Five. They are also the poorest. Being in the desert, they don't have much in the way of natural food supplies, and given the performance of their shinobi in recent years, due to lack of funding for better equipment and training, they've lost a lot of business when it comes to missions. He was thinking, if I could learn how to seal my shadow clones in a master scroll, and have them work the land. Unselling a new batch of clones when the first is getting ready to dispel. They keep an aquifer going to feed grazing land for cattle and food. I'd sell the food in the village and hire the villagers to work the land. The clones would stay there as foramen and as the chakra supply for the water. It would strengthen the bonds between our villages. Making our allies stronger will also make us stronger. What's your plan for buying it? Tenten asked. The Chunin exams are in about 2 more months. In about 2 more weeks I'll buy this building. After that he will send my team to Suna. Right now there's a backlog of D-rank missions, because a lot of the genin teams are ramping up their training to prepare for the exams. I've been having a group of shadow clones take on D-ranks during my training. They should have enough D-ranks for a large plot of land by the time we leave. If Danzo's root agents are skilled, maybe he knows a more sustainable clone jutsu than the shadow clone. If you tell him your plan for Suna, he might be willing to point you in the right direction. That's a good idea, Ten-chan. I'll try to find him tomorrow. Said, kissing her forehead. The following morning, Naruto arrived at the Hokage Tower early in the morning, well before his team was meant to meet. Naruto-kun, what brings you to my office this early in the morning? Hiruzen asked, taking a puff of his pipe, while Danzo, who was also in the room for the morning chess match he'd enjoyed with his teammate for the past several decades, turned to greet the young boy. Good morning, Naruto-kun. It's a pleasure to see you again. Naruto gave a slight smile. It's good to see the both of you. Actually, I came to ask you where I could find Danzo here, but it seems you two have saved me the trouble of tracking him down. Oh, and what would you want with a retired shinobi like me? Danzo asked curiously. Tenten wasn't due to report in until tonight, which meant he was in the dark about the boy's intentions. Well, really, if either of you can help me, it would be great. He was hoping to buy some land in Suna, and use my ninjutsu abilities to turn it into a profitable farm. It would strengthen Suna, as well as our alliance with them. I'd also be able to leave a clone there who could spawn other clones, and feed information back to me. A early warning system in case Suna is invaded, and my own surveillance system within Suna's walls, in case there are any shinobi who are unhappy with our current alliance, and would do us harm. Danzo couldn't help the inwardly proud smile that only years of training had managed to physically keep off his face. The boy was already thinking like a proper shinobi. Using his legitimate business as a means to place agents inside another village's walls. There is a jutsu that is perfect for what you want. It's called the blood clone. It creates a clone with its own chakra pool, much like the shadow clone. The difference being that the blood clone produces its own chakra at 1/4 the rate of the original. You should know though, the jutsu requires 5% of the user's blood. It's a jutsu that is mainly used for creating commander clones. The clones can only be destroyed with a lethal blow. Normally 2 or 3 of them are made by a person over the course of several days. The clones are normally split between platoons. They create and dispel shadow clones in order to relay information across a battlefield. Go to your usual training ground, I'll have one of my agents drop off the scroll on it in a bit. Mabi Fujamanaka. She seems to have grown rather fond of you. Fuisa Yamanaka? You thought Yamanakas were blonde? Naruto asked. And I thought Uzumakis had red hair. Danzo quipped. Touche. A replied. Well, thank you for your help. My apologies for interrupting your game. I will see you both later. A said, leaving. That boy is extremely ambitious, Irusen. A rookie genin, and he's already planting surveillance in other countries. I've also heard tell he's bought up a couple of the apartment complexes in the red light district, with plans to buy the building he's currently living in. That is true. He's been abusing his shadow clones to help us work through our backlog of D-rank missions. His mission record is almost unheard of for a non-wartime genin. If the judges are biased against him during the exams, his record would easily earn him a field promotion. Don't worry, Hirozen. If he makes it to the finals, he's almost guaranteed a promotion. I personally screened this year's judges to ensure unbiased votes. If he earns his promotion, he'll get it. Thank you, Danzo, that boy is overdue for a fair shake in life. The life of a Jinchuriki is never easy, Hirozen. All we can do is give him our support, and help him grow into the protector this village needs. Note that there are many who deserve it. Hirozen nodded, taking a drag of his pipe, while moving upon up a space. That's true, Danzo, but with the use of his shadow clones for missions. Naruto-kun is slowly showing the people of the village how amazing he truly is. I believe by the time the Chunin exam finals roll around he'll have several people cheering him on in the stands. I have a feeling you're right. Meanwhile, Naruto had made his way to the training field. Several sets of clones going over katas, balancing kunai down his spine while water running, the vacuum bullet, and sensing each other while in the thickest mist they could create. The original was currently meditating. A had come up with an idea for pulsing out his chakra in a circle around him to detect objects, but was having some trouble fine-tuning it. Currently he could make out the shapes of people and objects, but they came out blurry. They were more like vague shapes than anything distinguishable. The idea suddenly struck him. A had been using the technique in an unrefined pulse, what he needed was a flat clean edge. Something that instead of draping over the object like a wet cloth, would scan a person like a hospital machine. Focusing on a thin blade of chakra, that glided along the top of the grass, and up the nearby trees. It could easily make out the form of a familiar person sitting in the trees. Fuchan, I know you're in the tree to my 7:30. You can come out now. The orange-haired woman dropped down from the tree, long copper-colored hair tied back in a ponytail, D-cup breast covered by a black top that exposed her midriff, and her shapely hips clad in a pair of black shinobi pants, with a tanto strapped over her right shoulder. I'm impressed, Naruto-kun. There aren't many people in the village who can detect me, including our sensors, and Juga. Thanks, Fuchan, I call it my chakra radar. You actually just helped me perfect it. He smiled, greeting the young brood agent with a hug, which she hesitantly returned. Well, I'd appreciate it if you could teach it to me sometime. It would be a great help on my out-of-village missions. Speaking of, here is the scroll Danzo-sama said you requested. She said, handing him the scroll. Thank you, Fuchan. I still have a few hours before my team meets. If you'd like, I can teach you the basics of the chakra radar. I'd very much like that, Naruto-kun. Danzo-sama would be extremely grateful if we could have the technique to Root's list of skills. Of course, but it's best suited for someone with both high chakra control and high chakra reserves. The goal is to create an extremely flat circle of chakra around your feet and pulse it outwards in all directions. I found it helps if you picture it like those laser scan machines at the hospital. Fu nodded at the explanation. Alright, Naruto-kun, I'll give it a try, and for future reference, those are called MRI machines. She smiled, before taking a meditative stance. Deciding to start small, she focused a C-rank amount of chakra into the technique, and pulsed it out, getting about 30 feet in every direction. That's amazing, Naruto-kun, it was like I could see you, and your clones even with my eyes closed. Yes, but to go beyond 100 feet takes at least a high B-rank jutsu's worth of chakra. I've studied the last several Chunin exams. There's always a portion that involves a long-term survival test, where the teams try to eliminate each other. The only place here in Konoha that I could think of where that would be plausible would be the Forest of Death. Which is why I want to get it to the point where I can scan at least 2 kilometers in every direction. It'd give me a heads up on the other teams, and whatever animals are lurking around the forest. Fu was impressed by the thought the boy had put into the exams. I've never seen a genin put this much thought into the Chunin exams. Most of them simply go in blind, and hope for the best. I promised someone I'd do my best to become the strongest Hokage there is. Which means I've got to take every opportunity, and study as much knowledge as I can. Speaking of knowledge, Naruto-kun. I heard you've been studying Fuinjutsu. Are you proficient enough to make reinforcement seals for walls? Yes, but the ones I can make are only C-rank at best. They'll increase a wall's integrity, but they won't protect against a long-term siege. A admitted. That's better than nothing. Danzo-sama wants to hire you for a C-rank mission to add those seals to the outer wall of Konoha. As well as any other seals you can think that would help. My clones are still studying right now. I can get to it Sunday after my training with Ayami-chan and Kagome-chan. I add master seals at key points around the top of the wall that will connect with fire seals along the exterior of the wall. When chakra is pulsed through them, it will transfer to the seals on the wall, and shoot fireballs in a volley at the enemy. That will be perfect, Naruto-kun. The longer you can keep them away from the walls, the better. You know something you're not telling me, Fu-chan. I can sense when people are lying to me, even when they're as trained as you. I know you can, Naruto-kun, but the information is classified. You'd need to be read in by Okage-sama, or Danzo-sama. I hope you understand. Naruto hugged her, smiling. I understand, Fu-chan. You're a faithful kunoichi of the village. I know you would never give up information that could hurt the village. Ieji talked to Hihi and Danzo. Would you mind asking them to meet me at Hihi's office today at 5:30 when training is finished? Of course, Naruto-kun. Danzo-sama has put Root at your disposal. I will be your personal liaison with Root. When Danzo-sama has a scroll or a mission request for you, Eiji send me to deliver it. You can also call me by pulsing chakra into the seal. I'm rarely out of the village, but on the rare occasion that I am, I'll send another agent in my stead. I look forward to working with you, Fu-chan. Ismail. As do Naruto-kun, but I do have to get back, and reporting though we should get something to eat when you have the chance. It'd be best if we were seen socially together. It would keep people from being suspicious when I come to deliver something, if it seems like I'm just a friend coming to visit you again. Good idea. I'll meet you outside the Hokage Tower after my meeting, and we'll go to the Akamichi restaurant for dinner. Fu nodded, and bid the young blonde goodbye, before returning to her master. While said blonde began studying the scroll for the blood clone jutsu. If he could master it, before his mission to Suna, he could create one to create shadow clones for studying, and one when he got to Suna to manage his property there. 2 hours later, Jugao and Aidi arrived, accompanied by teammate. I see you two brought company. Naruto said, his eyes still closed, and his back to the group. How can you tell, Naruto-kun? I didn't see any of your clones dispel. Jugao asked. It's my new technique, chakra radar. By the outlines, I can tell you brought Hinata-chan, Kiba, and Sino with you. I'm guessing the fourth person is their sensei. Kurenai raised an eyebrow. That's impressive, Naruto-kun. If I didn't know better, I'd guess you were a Hyuga. Unfortunately, I'm not that good. A replied, standing and facing his fellow shinobi. So what brings you to our team meeting? I asked them to come for a joint training exercise. I know a team-on-team spar is unfair based on numbers, but I figured your shadow clones could even the odds. I figured getting used to fighting someone outside of your usual sparring partners would be good for you. No worries, Yugao-chan, I've got that under control. Captain, get over here. Naruto yelled to his clone. The female version of Naruto came running over, her blonde pigtails bouncing slightly. This is my blood clone, codename Captain. I have her transformed into my female form so she's easy to distinguish from the others. Since she's a blood clone, she'll only dispel if you hit her with a lethal shot. Try not to though, these blood clones are a pain to make. The group nodded, while Jugao and Kurenai made mental notes to ask the blonde where he learned another forbidden technique. Though they'd make sure to do it after the other genin had left. It doesn't matter how many of your clones you make though. 0 times 0 is still 0. Naruto chuckled. Wow Kiba, you can do basic math now. Kurenai-sensei, you must be a great teacher. Kurenai chuckled at the quip. One of the reasons she had agreed to this joint training was Jugao's raving about her blonde student. She had hoped the boy could knock some of the false bravado out of her student's system. He had the habit of thinking he was the alpha of any group he entered. She had asked his mother about it, but the woman had said it went too far, even by Inuzuka standards. She had been half tempted to ask her female student to check if he was overcompensating for something, and she would have, if she didn't think the girl would faint at the mere request. Alright you six, line up on either side of the field, and get ready for our signal. Remember, no lethal shots, your goal is to incapacitate your opponents. Jugao said, as she and Kurenai stood on opposite sides of the field. Naruto smirked, placing his hand on Ari's lower back, tracing a message on her spine. Stay near Captain, she'll be your eyes. Airi looked at him, and nodded. Enough grab ass with your slut dope. The area grew cold, as Naruto's hair covered his eyes. Start the match. He said stoically. Jugao nodded to Kurenai, both women knowing that this would hurt for Kiba. Behin. They gelled. Hidden mist jutsu. Naruto whispered, as a thick blinding mist rolled over the field. What, too scared for your whore to see you get your ass kicked though? Don't worry, when this is over I'll take her back to my place, and show her what a real man looks like. She'll be screaming my name all night. The women in the area, as well as Shino, scowled. Hinata looked to Shino, her Byakugan activated. Shino nodded as the two of them stepped back. Kiba had this coming, and they both knew it. Naruto growled slightly, before appearing in front of Kiba. His fist made direct contact with the young Inuzuka's gut, sending him flying back. His momentum was stopped, when Naruto grabbed him by the throat. Let me show you the error of your ways, Kiba. He said, lifting him up over his shoulders, before slamming him into the ground. Welcome to the last ride. He said, grabbing the boy, placing their faces between each other's knees, before dropping to his knees. The movement slammed Kiba's skull into the ground. Naruto grabbed the boy's hands, crossing the unconscious teen's arms over his chest. Rest. In peace. He said, as he looked off into the distance. 20 after delivering a well-deserved beatdown to one Kiba Inuzuka, the four remaining genin spent the next several hours sparring together. With Naruto using his clones to watch the action from every possible angle. His goal being, if there was a hole in their style, he wanted to be the one to find it. Around 11:30, the two senseis clapped, calling an end to the session. Alright you guys. Head home, and shower. We're meeting Team 7, Team Ga, and Team 10 at the Akamichi barbecue in about an hour. Due attendance is mandatory. Jugao said, looking at the 5 genin. This is a trust-building exercise between our promising genin. Naruto looked down at Kiba. I expect you to be on your best behavior. Kiba whimpered slightly, and nodded. Yeah, I'll be good, but if that bitch Sakura is there, I might not be able to hold back. Heirs, and Ino's screaming hurts mine, and Akamaru's hearing. Don't worry, I'll grab some of my silencing seals from the apartment. If they cause any trouble, we'll slap them on the two of them, and enjoy our meal in peace. The Inuzuka clan might be interested in buying some of those. We can hear the Harunos from across the village, and it annoys the hell out of us. We'll talk after lunch. Now let's get going. I have a meeting with Hihi and Old Man Danzo at about 5:30, and then I'm going to dinner with a friend. Oh, does Naruto-kun have yet another girlfriend? Jugao teased, poking him in the ribs. Don't be jealous, Jugao-chan. He teased back, sticking his tongue out at her. And no, not a girlfriend. I'm just having dinner with Fu-chan. We're just gonna be going over the finer details of the Suna trip. Jugao rolled her eyes playfully. Such a rich and exciting life you lead outside of team meetings. She giggled. Kurenai nodded, looking at him. She's right, Naruto-kun. As great as it is to see a genin taking so much initiative, you should still try to have a social life that doesn't revolve around work. If you don't, you're going to burn out. So what I'm hearing is, you want to take me out on a date to help me relax, so I don't burn out. Naruto grinned, wiggling his eyebrows. Kurenai's face turned pink as she waved her hands. That's not what I mean. I would never try to pick up a genin, she said defensively. Ah, so what I'm hearing is, you're like Jugao-chan, and you want to wait until I pass the Chunin exams. Please, the last time someone passed during their rookie year was Itachi Uchiha. You may be skilled, Naruto-kun, but you're not Itachi Uchiha. That's true, but I'm not trying to be. If you're that sure though, then how about a bet? If I get promoted, you have to let me take you out for the evening. Oh right, but if you lose, you're going to clean my apartment for free, for 2 months. Kurenai smirked. Deal, now let's get going. Naruto said, walking off. Ino Yamanaka had thought herself the gossip queen of Konoha. She was under the impression she knew all the juiciest gossip in the world. Which was why she couldn't wrap her head around the new look of the once dead last of her class. Gone was the 4 feet 9 inches runt of the litter. Now her eyes ran hungrily over the 5, 6, and quite muscular for their age form of Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto-kun, what happened to you? Naruto for his part was slightly confused. Ino had never even acknowledged his existence in the academy, yet now she was calling him Naruto-kun. I got serious about my training after being introduced to the true world of shinobi. He said plainly. Everyone meet Aidi-chan, she was placed on my team from the reserves alongside my new sensei Jugao-chan. Naruto-kun, you shouldn't refer to your sensei so casually. Asuma chided. She told me outside of official meetings, she wants Aidi-chan, and I'm not to refer to her as sensei outside of missions directly involving clients. It's in case we go undercover, we don't accidentally call her sensei, and blow our cover. So it's okay, Asuma Ohisan. Wait, Naruto, why did you just call Asuma sensei Ohisan? Shikamaru asked. I've always been close with Hihi. I was there when Asuma Ohi came left for the Ninja Guardians, and I was with Hihi at the gates when he came home. It's true, the Sarutobi family has always treated Naruto-kun as an unofficial member thanks to his relationship with Dad. It's one of the reasons why Konohamaru took a liking to him so quickly. After he met Naruto-kun, he came and asked Dad and me about him. That's one of the reasons he's so comfortable going to him with problems. He thinks of Naruto-kun as his cousin. Asuma explained. Before we drop any more bombs about Naruto-kun, has anyone seen Sakura? It's not like her to be late. Ino asked, looking around. Kakashi decided it was time to speak up. Sakura has been recycled to the next senior class at the academy. She's been ordered to take anger management and receive counseling until the curriculum can be overhauled. She assaulted a fellow shinobi on multiple occasions. She's being given a second chance, but she won't graduate for at least another year or so. She would have been suspended if the assaults were her only charge, but she was also found guilty of failure to improve, even after she was warned. She didn't take her training seriously, and believed her mother being on the council would save her. The one-eyed shinobi turned his attention to his former student. I apologize, Naruto. He had a lot of time to think about it, and you were right to do what you did. He put the entire team in jeopardy with my actions. He just want you to know I tried. After you left I tried to get her to train, but she just said she only needed to exercise enough to keep in shape. That her Sasuke-kun would protect her, and that her mother would keep her from being recycled. It was a mistake to put her on a team with the two of you in the first place. I haven't forgiven you, Kakashi, but if you continue on the redemptive path you seem to be on, I think we can repair the bridge as comrades. Thank you, Naruto. The rest of the meal went rather quietly, with Ino trying to send some subtle hints Naruto's way. Though he spent the majority of his time talking to Tenten, Ivy, and Lee. He weaved a compelling argument for Lee to use his weight seals instead of his weights, citing that he could deactivate them faster than he could drop his weights, as well as the decreased risk to his joints, and the fact that he wouldn't be exposed the way he was when he kneeled down to pull off the weights. Lei agreed to go through with the seals during their next joint training session. The genin were dismissed after lunch, however Sasuke had asked Naruto to stay behind for a private conversation. So what did you want to talk about? I wanted to thank you. He said, surprising Naruto. Sakura wasn't fit to be a kunoichi. He lost a lot of kunoichi family members during the massacre, including my mother, who used to be a jonin, before she had Itachi. One of the reasons I was so angry during the academy was due to having to see girls like Sakura playing at being kunoichi. He didn't get a chance to thank you for that. He also thought about her behavior, and realized I had my own mental issues to work through. I've been in counseling with Inochi Yamanaka for the past several months. How has that been going? Naruto asked. It's been going well. I know that I can't take Itachi alone. I know he hasn't been just sitting around. He's been getting stronger. He had 2 years in Umbu when he killed our clan, and it's been over 4 years since then. You're also overlooking one important piece of the puzzle. Naruto replied. The raven-haired boy raised an eyebrow. Itachi couldn't have stayed off the radar for this long without help from someone. Likely someone who has a village behind them. So you're saying I'll never get to him? Sasuke said in a disappointed tone. No, if you train hard enough, and encounter him you might, but you can't go hunting him. Remember he told you to hunt him. He wants you focused on him, and not on your own training. A wise man once said, the greatest revenge is living well. You have an opportunity here. It's the same one I have. I could spend my life trying to get revenge on Kiri, Kumo, and Iwa for destroying my clan's home during the Second Shinobi War. Instead I choose to get my revenge in a different way. I choose to rebuild the Uzumaki clan stronger than it was before. I choose to bring its might to Konoha, and make them watch as their most heinous act comes back to haunt them. So what you're saying is, my best revenge against Itachi would be to bring the Uchiha clan back to greatness. To show him that as long as one of us lives, he can't snuff us out. Exactly, you and I are survivors. Lei was born an orphan whose mother died during birth, and father died before he was born. You, and I though, we know what it's like to have someone rip our family away from us. We can get our revenge without ever having to set foot on the battlefield. That does mean you'll have to take an interest in girls for a change. Sasuke punched him in the arm. Mirkin. I actually have my eyes on a girl. Do you remember Ami from my fan club? Naruto nodded in response. I told her to hide her skills, and stay in the center of the class, so she didn't have to deal with the others bullying her for trying to impress me. She's currently training as a reservist. I know I can't take her on my team. Our schedule is too specialized to fit my counseling. I was hoping you could talk to your sensei about putting her on your team until the Chunin exams. Before you ask, Ari was asked first because she's been in the reserves longer. Also Ami-chan hasn't just been sitting on her ass the whole time. She comes to train with me at the compound on my days off, and studies scrolls from the Uchiha library when I'm busy. The Uchiha have copied a lot of techniques over the years. Ami is an earth user. I asked Kakashi-sensei to assess her for me. He says she's low Chunin. I'll talk to Gigi at our meeting tonight. Shieji have to go through the same hell Ari went through. I'll also need to see her midriff, and upper thighs. My team uses the weight seals I discussed with Lee earlier. He already applied them to Aidi-chan, and Yugao-chan. Alright, but if you're asking my girlfriend to show you her underwear I expect the same. Mirkit. I don't have an official girlfriend, but if Eri-chan said yes as a teammate I wouldn't object. Though you're the one who will have to explain it to Ami. Sasuke paled for a moment. You know what, unless Ami-chan says something don't bring it up. Actually, does the Uchiha compound have private hot springs? Yeah, 3 of them what? Sasuke asked skeptically. Simple, once Ami is on the team. Do invite my team over for a dip in the springs. We bring swimsuits, and we both get to stare at beautiful women in bikinis. Sasuke chuckled, shaking his head. Some things never change. No matter how strong you get, you are always going to be a sneaky bastard. Well, we are shinobi, it comes with the job. Later that evening Naruto once again sat with Hiruzen and Danzo. Hiruzen had prepared some tea, and dismissed his umbu for the meeting. If we're going to keep up these regular meetings we should find a 3-person game Naruto-kun. The Hokage chuckled, taking a drag of his pipe. I wouldn't dream of asking you to change your game hee. Though I'd love to be an occasional observer. It would give me the chance to study strategy from those who have experience in warfare. Wisdom beyond your years Naruto-kun. Danzo nodded. Though I do enjoy our banter Danzo. I have a date with Fu-chan tonight, and I'd rather not keep her waiting. Danzo raised an eyebrow. A date? I hope you don't think I signed Fu to you as an escort Naruto-kun. Not at all, Fu-chan, and I have agreed that we should be seen in public together, even if it's only platonically. It will make people less suspicious if she has to come to my home to deliver something, or if she has to come find me for something. That is a good idea Naruto-kun, as long as you aren't taking advantage of my agents. Now what brings you here today? I want to be read in on why you want my reinforcement seals on the walls. I already have a suspicion that something will take place during the Chunin exams. I'd like to know what suspicions you have. Sometimes you're too perceptive Naruto-kun. Danzo said. Hiruzen thought for a moment, taking a long drag. That he is, but if we're going to ask for his help with our defenses, I feel he should have knowledge on what he's defending against. Danzo nodded, turning to Naruto. My agents have heard rumors that Orochimaru intends to attack the village sometime during the Chunin exams. He may have help from another village. I believe he will try to go after Suna. With their struggling finances he may try to use them against us. It's one of the reasons I'm for your plan to purchase land from them. They also like you to purchase whatever tools you need for the farm locally. Hire their genin for D-rank missions to help with the fields and construction. EAJ personally help bankroll such things with a grant rather than a loan. You won't have to pay it back. Is there anything you need for this mission? Yes, I need whatever books you can get me on advanced Fuinjutsu. I've heard of Orochimaru. If he's involved then chances are he'll try to use his snakes to get past the walls. I want to try and learn enough Fuinjutsu by the time we leave that I can leave my blood clone captain in charge of using shadow clones to put seals strong enough to block his summons while the walls, defenses bombard them. I'll also look into adding launch seals in addition to the fire seals. This way when the defenses are activated, they'll start by launching a volley of arrows at the enemy, before launching fireballs that could do damage to the forest. I'll have Fu bring the books to the training ground during your morning workout tomorrow. Now do you have any other business to address? Yes, a favor from Sasuke Uchiha. He has asked me to request that one of our old classmates Ami be moved from the reserves to my team. Something I feel should have happened when you moved Eri anyway since both of them were waiting on a team to form. He's already had her evaluated by Kakashi, and her skills are low Chunin. Now I know it's not likely she'll get a promotion during the exams, seeing as she doesn't have experience outside of D-rank missions, but I feel the exams will be a good experience for her, and before you ask. Sasuke didn't request her on his team because A, they are romantically involved, and B, he didn't feel she would get enough training, as his schedule with Kakashi customized for his mental counseling with Inochi Yamanaka. I don't think I have to stress to either of you the importance of him continuing those sessions. Danzo and Hiruzen looked at each other knowingly. The blonde had come here with his bow loaded. They effectively neutralized any argument they would have had, before they could make it. All right Naruto-kun. I will have Ami report to your team's meeting tomorrow. Since you're no longer under apprentice status there's no need for a formal meeting. I will say this, you do need to make it to the finals of the Chunin exams, so we can give you the vest already. Hiruzen is right, Naruto-kun, keeping a shinobi of your caliber a genin any longer than absolutely necessary is a waste. If it wasn't for the fact that we wanted to show off the new swordsman of Konoha, I would have suggested you for a field promotion months ago. Danzo added. I would have immediately approved it too, but Konoha's performance in the exams has been lacking in recent years with no real standouts. That is why we've held you back as long as we have. I understand. The good of the village comes before any promotion, and the Chunin exams are the perfect opportunity to show off the best of our village's current generation of shinobi. It's good to see how much you've matured Naruto-kun. Now run along Naruto-kun, who may be a trained root agent, but she's still a woman, and you do well not to keep her waiting. Roger that old man. Thank you both, I'll see you both later. He said, waving to the both of them, as he jumped from the window. Well, you know how to make an entrance, I'll give you that. Fu said, from behind him. When Naruto turned around, he was shocked to see how beautiful she looked. He had always thought she was pretty, but now seeing her long legs, and toned body wrapped in a burnt orange sundress, Naruto couldn't help but notice the amount of natural beauty that radiated off of her. If your mouth stays open like that, something may fly into it, she said, closing his mouth. Naruto shook his head. Sorry Fu-chan, I've just never seen you outside of your uniform. You're extremely beautiful. Thank you Naruto-kun, but don't think I'll be as easy to get as your other love interest. I was trained by Danzo-sama to control my emotions. That means something as simple as your silver words won't win me over, she said, looking down at him. Naruto chuckled and kissed the back of her hand. I wouldn't dream of it Fu-chan. He happened to like our game of cat and mouse, he said as he began leading her away. Now let's get you something to eat, afterwards I have a special treat set up for you back at my place. The two shinobi spent the majority of dinner discussing their past missions, and the mission to Suna, which Fu would stay back, and pass messages through Naruto's captain clone, which she had taken to calling Naruto. After dinner Fu had followed Naruto back to his apartment, where she saw a group of clones looking over some blueprints. What are they doing Naruto-kun? Finalizing some plans. After the Suna mission, Tsunade-chan and I will be out of town on a mini vacation until the Chunin exams begin. He decided between the month that I'll be out of the village, and probably 1 week I'll be out of the apartment with the first 2 tests. He figured it would be the best time to do the renovations I wanted to this place. If you can't find Naruto throughout the day, come here to the landlord office. I have a second blood clone who is in charge of my properties. Her name is Rias. I'll keep that in mind. Now what is this treat you've been talking about? She asked, as she followed his motion, and sat on the couch. I've had several clones studying anatomy and massage for the past month. I know how hard you work, and I know how much time and effort you put in to make sure my intel is accurate, and that I have the proper tools, so I wanted to do something nice for you, he said, pulling the ottoman in front of her sitting on it. Lifting one of her feet, he placed it in his lap, and began applying some lotion. Despite her years of training when it came to masking her emotions, Fu couldn't help but sigh and relax as she felt his hands begin to work her soles. It had been so long since she had indulged in anything even resembling a massage, and it showed. The muscles in her feet were wound in knots so tight, Naruto thought he might have to cut them open and undo them by hand. Once he was satisfied that her feet were properly relaxed, he moved his attention up to her calves, making sure to pay extra attention to the small muscle in front of her shin, which was responsible for a lot of her long-distance running. Naruto-kun, I have got to admit, when you put your mind to something, you seem to excel quickly in your studies. Naruto smiled, as he gently squeezed her calf. Like I said Fu-chan, I wanted to do something special for you. You do so much for me, and never ask for anything in return, he said, guiding her to lay on her stomach. If I can do something nice for you, it's worth it. He smiled, lighting a pleasant-smelling candle. Thankfully Fu had chosen a backless sundress for their outing, and while Naruto had to take a moment to pull his eyes away from her round backside and the side view of her breast, he diligently began applying the massage oil to her back muscles. Fu couldn't help but let out a small moan, as she felt months of accumulated knots seem to fade away at the young man's touch. It truly surprised her, she had never let anyone give her so much as a foot massage. Normally she'd make a shadow clone, and let it do the work. Yet here she was, allowing some boy she had only met a few months ago, to have his hands on her, with her back to him. His chakra even seemed to have a warm, calming effect on her. When his hands were on her, she felt as if she would melt into the couch. The following morning, Fu awoke in Naruto's bed, her sandals sat next to the bed, and her hair undone from her ponytail. The orange locks splayed out across the pillow. The young Kunoichi jumped slightly, when she heard the living room door open and close. Putting her sandals back on, she walked back into the living room. She was surprised to see Naruto holding a small paper bag. Oh Fu-chan, you're awake. Don't worry about reporting in. I told old man Danzo you slept over. I sent someone to your barracks to get you a change of clothes. Now why don't you go take a shower, while I get us some breakfast ready? The old man said you didn't have to report in until 10, since that's when he would have the books you were supposed to bring me ready. Thank you Naruto-kun, But I don't wish to impose on you. Fu said, taking the bag from him. Nonsense, I won't feel right if I let you leave without breakfast. He said using his famous, puppy dog as jutsu. Damit Danso-sama never trained us for a jutsu like this. Fu thought to herself, before letting out a sigh. I guess since I apparently took over your bed last night, the least I can do is join you for breakfast. Speaking of which, how did I end up in your bed? Naruto smiled, placing the groceries on the counter. You fell asleep during your back rub, so I took off your hair tie, and laid you in the bed. I figured you'd be more comfortable on the bed, so I took the couch. You didn't have to do that, Naruto-kun, I would have been fine on the couch. You were my guest, and besides I saw how many nuts you had. You needed the bed a lot more than I did. Now go shower, I have breakfast to cook. I said, shooing the young woman out of the kitchen. After a light breakfast with Fu, Naruto made his way to the training ground to meet with his now fully formed team. While he awaited their arrival, he set his clones to their usual routine. When the three women arrived, they were greeted to the sight of 100 Narutos going through a morning routine. Is this normal for him? Ami asked, her purple hair tied back in a bun, and her athletic physique packed tightly into a black skin-tight bodysuit. For him, yes. Yugo said, her eyes catching one of the Narutos doing laps around the field. Naruto-kun, time for team training. She called out. Naruto nodded, and made his way over to the three women. Good morning, ladies. Ami-chan, it's good to see you. Airi-chan, how are you doing with those medical books? I'm doing well. Thankfully Tsunade-sama made them very easy to understand. She said, with a smile. I'd also like to thank you for talking to the Hokage about me being assigned to your team. I know you and Sasuke-kun have never seen eye to eye on much, so I wanted you to know how grateful I am that you honored his request. Ami said, with a smile. And I hope you accept my apologies for any bullying that went on in the academy. I tried to keep it to a minimum while maintaining my cover. Consider it in the past. I already spoke to Sasuke, and we've agreed that your cover was best for your own safety. Naruto said, waving his hand. Besides, I now have my suspicions on who it was leaving notes in my backpack on days I was sent out of class. Ami blushed, and looked to the side. I didn't think it was fair how they treated you, so I'd copy down my notes, and put them in your backpack during lunch. Thank you, Ami-chan. Now let's get to training. We don't have long until the Chunin exams, and we need to get our teamwork up to par. Well said, Naruto-kun. Today we'll be working on battle formations and combination jutsu. Yugao said. To say the two young women were exhausted was an understatement. It seemed as if their sadistic sensei and over-energized teammate were hell-bent on breaking the two down and molding them into ideal shinobi. The second part wasn't so bad, it was the first part that was a living hell. After their team exercises, Naruto had placed the weight seals on Ami before driving the two young girls into the ground with physical training. I thought Sasuke-kun's training was extreme, but this is a whole other level of insane. Ami said, from her spot lying on the ground. He does this every day. I don't know how I'm still alive. Airi said, from her spot next to her. Sweat pouring off of both girls. You'll both live. Yugao said, taking a swig from her water bottle. The two girls glared at her, before an idea came to Airi's mind. Naruto-kun, I don't think Yugao-chan is getting a good enough workout. I think she could use some of your weight seals. After all, I'd feel bad if training has forced our sensei to slack off on her own training. The brunette said, with an evil grin on her face. Yuga did her best not to pale, while trying to make the young girl's head explode with her glare. She's right, Yugao-chan, we can't afford to have you getting rusty on us. Naruto said, standing behind her. The purple-haired Ambunushi was in a corner. If she turned down the seals, it would make it look as if she didn't take her training as seriously as her genin squad. Of course, Naruto-kun. I should have asked you earlier. She said, stripping down to her bra and panties. Her hourglass form now on full display for her genin. The action caused the two female members of her team to glare slightly in jealousy. Naruto would remember to thank Tenten later, as her help with his seduction resistance training was the only thing keeping his nose from bleeding at the moment. Working quickly, he began applying the seals to his sensei's body, while his clones stole glances, attempting to burn the image into his memory for years to come. Yuga noticed the stolen looks her students' clones were giving her, and mentally smirked. Seems the extra girls in your lab haven't taken any of your attention away from me, Naruto-kun. Alright, starting tomorrow we'll all be using our seals constantly during training. For now you're all dismissed. Actually Sensei, Sasuke-kun has invited our team over to the Uchiha compound for a dip in his private hot spring. He said we should all show up at about 7 with our swimsuits. Ami said, forcing herself to sit up. After agreeing to meet at 7, the team went home to shower, change, and eat, before meeting at the Uchiha compound. I thought I smelled fish cakes. Sasuke greeted with a smirk. Careful Sasuke, you stay in the water too long, we'll be having boiled duck for dinner. Naruto quipped back, bumping fists with his comrade. Let's get to the spring. It looks like your team might collapse if we keep them standing here too long. The two male genin sat in the water, waiting for their female companions to exit the changing room. They too talked about their training in recent months, comparing notes on training methods. Their conversation was stopped when the three women exited the changing room, now standing in front of them in their swimsuits. Jugao's cups were squished together in a black skull print bikini top, and her bubbliest was pressed against a pair of matching bottoms. Ari's high B-cups created a wide valley of cleavage in her black cherry print bikini. Her Baxide, while not as toned as her sensei, was proportionally as bubbly as the older woman's. Ami blushed, as she stood next to her sensei, and teammate in her blue seashell print bikini that form-fitted to her low B-cups, and hugged her toned waist. If you two don't pick your jaws up, you're going to drown. Jugao smirked, as she stepped into the water. The boys quickly shut their mouths, and shook their heads. Sorry Jugao-chan, it's not every day you get to see three stunning bikini-clad beauties this close. Naruto said. Ivy chuckled, slapping his chest lightly. One of these days, that silver tongue is going to get you into trouble, Naruto-kun. She's right, Naruto-kun, the rest of Konoha's male population may get jealous if you continue seducing every female in the village. Jugao teased, with a giggle. Well, if the other men in the village were more gentlemanlike, they wouldn't have anything to worry about. After all, Sasuke is a jackass most of the time, but he managed to have enough class and manners to get a girl as beautiful as Ami-chan to go out with him. Naruto replied, gesturing to the young Uchiha. Sasuke punched his comrade in the arm. Keep that up, and you're not coming back here. Smirked. Oh please, you know you love me. Besides, once I buy the plot behind my apartment, I'll be building my own hot springs with Fuinjutsu. Naruto said, before getting serious. Sasuke, have you and Ami-chan discussed the CRA? Ami rubbed her arm, as Sasuke sighed. I figured it would come up at some point. The timer starts when I turn 16, or make jonin. Ami-chan, and I know that as the last Uchiha, they'll want a minimum of 3 wives. If there was a way out of it, I would take it. I'll try to figure something out. Ibe asked a lot of the old men, so I may have to tilt the scales back in my favor, before a big ask like that. Dog, I will have my clones looking into any laws they can find for loopholes. Naruto said, leaning back. Thanks Naruto-kun. Ami said. Yeah thanks, the Uchiha Law Library has access to all the laws going back to the beginning of the village. It's on the other end of the compound. Ieji show you there before you leave. You can leave your clones there to go nuts until they dispel. Better yet, I'll leave a blood clone there. She'll make clones to study the library until they've found every loophole possible. She. Ami asked. Naruto-kun's blood clones produce their own chakra, and only die if hit with a fatal attack. They can also use jutsu like shadow clones. It gives them specific tasks. Like Captain, who oversees his clones, training, and Rias who oversees his rental properties. Naruto has them henge as women, so that they're easy to distinguish from regular clones. Think of these clones as his officers, and the shadow clones as his foot soldiers. It gives the blood clone reign over a specific project, and she deals out the individual duties to the shadow clones. Jugao explained. Essentially yes, only at the suggestion of a friend of mine, I've taken to calling Captain Naruto, since she's essentially a female version of myself. Naruto pointed out. I'll get her on it though. After the group had finished their soak, with Naruto and Sasuke letting the girls use the changing room. While it may have seemed polite, it was actually an effort to give their erections time to go down. Once the girls left, Sasuke led Naruto to the library, where the blonde made a blood clone that turned into a tall woman with short white hair and a single braid over her shoulder. Her generous bust and white hips were packed tightly into a form-fitting kimono. This is Aizen, whenever you want an update, just go find her. He instructed, before departing. After 2 more weeks of intense training, Naruto's team was packed, and on their way to Suna. So Naruto-kun, how long do you think it will take us to get to Suna? Ivy asked. If we deactivate our weights, I'd say about 3 days if we stop for meals and sleep. That sounds best. I'd like us to get back as soon as possible. We need to get back as soon as possible. I want us to get in as much training as we can, before the exams. Yugao said, deactivating her weight seals. Her genin followed suit, and the 4 dashed off into the forest surrounding the village. Hold, state your business. The Chunin at the Suna gate ordered. Naruto Uzumaki, here with my team on business. Naruto said, handing the man his ID. Alright, go on in. He said, ushering them in. Before I go, where can I find a real estate broker? Office of Publicly Held Properties, it's 2 blocks west of the Kazakage Tower. He said, pointing to the tower. Thank you. Naruto said, leading his team towards the tower. Yes, how can I help you? The young lady behind the reception desk asked. I'm looking for a large plot of land just outside the village walls. Preferably something 25 acres or more. The woman handed him a stack of property listing that fit his criteria. Looking over the files and the attached pictures, Naruto held up one of the files. I'll take this 40-acre plot in the west area. After paying for it, Naruto was escorted to the lot. Which could be summed up by one word, sand. Thank you, here's the check. Naruto said, signing the check. Thank you, sir. It is the deed to a property. The woman said, with a smile, before leaving. Where to next, Naruto-kun? Airi asked, applying more sunscreen. The Kazakage Tower. Old man Danzo asked me to hire their genin to do the work on the plot. It's our way of helping our ally financially, until the farm starts bringing in revenue for the village. Naruto said, leading the group to the tower. Once the team had ordered the mission, Naruto sent the girls back to the hotel to relax while he and his blood clone waited at the lot for the teams to arrive. The first team consisted of the Kazekage's children, Temari, Gaara, and Kankuro. While the other 2 teams contained some of Suna's other genin, including a shy girl named Matsuri, who kept her eyes to the ground. Alright guys, the reason I hired 3 teams is because I want to remove about 8 feet of sand from the marked off area. After that, we're going to wall in the area, and fill it with the planting soil I've got sealed in these scrolls. The first part shouldn't be a problem. Gaara said in his signature monotone. Blessing his hands in front of him, he began raising them up. The sand seemed to shift, before rising up out of the ground. Moving his hands to the west, he set the sand down about 100 feet from the marked off area. Handy skill in this area. Naruto commented, taking note of the Kikkei Hinkai. Unsealing the bags of Saul. He handed each genin a set of gloves. I'll give you guys a hand, now let's get moving. You want to get this done by sundown. He said, jumping down into the hole. The other genin quickly followed, as he unsealed pallets of bricks at key locations. Alright, we'll split, and begin building the wall off of these pallets. The wall should keep the sand from covering the soil, while the grass grows back in. The genin nodded, splitting up. Temari stuck to the pallet closest to Naruto. After hearing that a Konoha team had requested a multi-team D-rank mission to work on a large plot of land one of them had purchased. Her father had given her the additional mission of getting close to the client, and determining his intentions. So Naruto-san, why did you come all the way to Suna to buy a plot of desert land? She asked. Well, Temari-chan, it's simple really. He started making a name for myself by buying up rental properties in Konoha's red light district, and while I was talking to the Hokage and one of the village elders, he found out that Suna was struggling when it came to your finances and food production. He figured I'd buy up some property here, give you guys some missions working on the plot, and buying up giving your craftsmen some business making farming equipment. The grass should take about 3 weeks to come in, by that time the livestock should be here. I'll be using a water jutsu to create an aquifer underneath the area to act as a water supply for the plot. I'll be making trips back here once a year or so to replenish it. Do you think my village is some sort of charity case? Temari said, her eyes narrowing incredulously. Of course I don't, but Suna is an ally. We should help each other out when things are tough. If building a farm in the area is what it takes to get Suna back on its feet, then it's my pleasure to help you out. A said with a genuine smile. I'll buy it for now, but I've got my eye on you. Temari smirked. Another one. Did someone just dump a bucket of pheromones down my pants when I wasn't looking? A cried comically. Temari giggled, covering her mouth. It's the eyes, deep blue eyes like you just attract all the girls. She teased. Very funny, Temari-chan. Don't let my team catch you flirting with me, they may think I took this mission just to get another girlfriend. Temari's eyes narrowed again. So you're a player? No, I'm in my village's CRA. Which means I'll have to have multiple wives. If it were up to me, I'd settle down with the woman I love, and that's it, but I have to do what's best for my village. I also have a friendly personality, and seem to attract more female friends than I do male friends. Temari sighed. I understand. My father is the Kazakage, so service to the village before the self is something that's been drilled into me since birth. Yeah, it sucks sometimes, but if it's for the good of my home I'll do just about anything. Even if it means trekking to the desert in the summer to build a farm. Speaking of which, how do you plan to manage this farm, and stay on the carrier track in Konoha? Temari asked, as they continued absent-mindedly stacking bricks. I've got a special clone that can act independently. It'll henge into a woman, so when it makes shadow clones it's easy to find. The clone can pretty much last as long as it doesn't get hit with a kill shot. It will report back to me between my visits, and manage everything. That includes steady D-rank missions for the village, working the farm. Well, I'm glad Suna has allies like you. Most others would take advantage of our current weakness, and try to bully us out of whatever they can get. Having strong allies only makes one's own village stronger. If others are too blind to see that, it's their loss. Naruto said, as he climbed up the wall to lay more bricks. It took until the end of the day, but with the help of Naruto's clones, the genin managed to build the enclosure, and fill it with soil. Good work today everyone. I'm gonna set up the pond before heading to the hotel. Big up the 9 of you tomorrow as well. We'll be assembling the barn for the livestock, and spreading the grass seeds. May it here at 8 sharp. The teams nodded, bidding each other good night, before dispersing for the night. Naruto himself making his way back to his team's hotel for a little relaxation, before meeting his team for dinner. So how was everyone's day? Naruto asked, taking his seat at the head of the small table. It was fine, Naruto-kun, we went a few miles into the desert, and trained for a while. Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm not going to miss running on sand. Ami grunted. I second that. Airi said, taking a drink. Well, Airi-chan, you know what the problem with sand is, right? Naruto smirked. What? She asked, an eyebrow raised. It's rough, and coarse, and it gets everywhere. A said in a low moody tone. The 3 girls broke out into fits of giggles. What kind of cheesy shit was that, Naruto-kun? Airi asked. Yeah, that's something I'd expect Sasuke-kun to say when he was doing his moody academy boy act. Ami added. It got the 3 of you to laugh, but don't worry. My clones will be offering foot rubs tonight in your room. Still don't see why you get a room all to yourself. Airi said, with a pout. Because I paid for us to stay in a nice hotel, instead of one of the cheap hotels the village would have paid for, and I felt it would be more proper to have myself segregated from my female teammates. Naruto said. I don't know Naruto-kun. We are in a foreign country on a diplomatic visit. It might be best if we slept two to a room. Yugao said half seriously. Fine, I only got a single in my room though, so I guess I'm taking the couch. Naruto sighed. Nope, you're stuck being my teddy bear. Airi said with a grin. Wow, so forward, Airi-chan. Yugao teased. Airi blushed, looking away. Well, I just thought it was the best course of action. It wouldn't be proper for Ami-chan to share a bed with him, and it wouldn't be good if we had our two strongest members centered in the same room. That is a well-thought-out argument for getting to cuddle with Naruto-kun, Airi-chan. Yugao teased. Don't listen to them, Airi-chan. Yugao-chan is just grumpy that she has to wait until after the Chunin exams to cuddle with me. Naruto teased, sticking his tongue out. Keep it up, Naruto-kun. I'm keeping tabs on everything I need to get you back for when the exams are over. Oh, I'm so scared. The following morning Naruto awoke early, and got ready to meet with the Kazekage for the official part of his mission. The hardest part of his morning was trying to get out of Eri's vice grip. He'd have to thank the second Hokage for creating the Shadow Clone Jutsu later. Naruto Uzumaki, I've heard a bit about you from my daughter. You made quite the impression on her yesterday. Raza said, brushing his shaggy brown hair from his face. She made quite an impression on me as well, Kazekage-sama. Naruto said in his most professional tone. Raza is fine. After all, you're here as an ally, and as a benefactor to the village. Speaking of, what brings you to my office? Konoha thought it only proper that one of its own shinobi personally deliver our invitation to you for the Chunin exam finals. I take it you'll be entering the exams? Raza asked, tenting his fingers. I will, and I hope to show you the strength that Konoha brings to our alliance in the finals. I'll be looking forward to it, Naruto-kun. I do have a simple request though, if you wouldn't mind indulging me. Of course, Raza. I plan to take the hat from Arokage in the near future, and I hope your reign as Kazekage is long. If I can start our relationship off right, I will. Ever the diplomat I see. I simply would like to see the sword. Juicy, I've never had the opportunity to see one in person. Naruto nodded, unsealing the blade from his arm, placing it on the desk. So what do you think? The craftsmanship is phenomenal. I wish Kiri had bothered to document how they made these. Raza said, looking the blade over. They didn't document it, because they didn't make them. From what I can tell based on my own research. The blades were created by combining Fuinjutsu throughout the forging process. That level of Fuinjutsu at the time these blades were made, and even today would have only been achievable by one group. Raza's eyes widened slightly. The Uzumaki clan. Naruto chuckled dryly. It's funny, my family created these blades to aid their ally in their infancy, and only a few short generations later, they turned them on us. I was a mere genin when it happened all those years ago. Kiri, Kumo, and Iwa attacked Uso. I hope you know we tried to get to them. We were fighting Iwa's men on our northern front, and what men we could send had to fight across the continent to get there. By the time we got there, it was over. A said remorsefully. It's okay, Raza. It took 3 of the major villages a month to siege the village. In that time they managed to get word to both Suna and Konoha. They also managed to get several families to scatter to the winds. I have more family out in the world somewhere. I just have to find them. In honor of the alliance we once held with your family, and the great favor you've done for my village, I'll instruct my shinobi to keep their ears out for any word on possible Uzumaki sightings. Thank you, Raza, I should get to the work site. Naruto replied, resealing his blade. After all, I feel I'm riding the razor's edge with your daughter right now, and I'd prefer her not to rip it out from under me for being late to my own project. Raza chuckled, nodded. Yes, Temari does have quite the temper. I believe she likes you though. She would have castrated most other men for mentioning multiple girlfriends, without waiting for an explanation. Well, I look forward to seeing her combat skills in action during the exams. Naruto smiled, before returning to the work site. After another long day's work, Naruto and the Tsunehnin had finally finished seeding the barn, and seeding Man Naruto-kun, you're a slave driver. Temari groaned, holding her back, as she watched her fellow Sune-genin depart the work site. If you promise not to hit me, Ide offered to take you over to the barn and give you a massage. Naruto said with a smile. Any other day, I might have hit you. Today though I am way too sore to turn down a free massage. She smiled back, walking towards the barn. Un xialing is cut, and a towel. Naruto turned to leave the barn. A strip, and put the towel on. A said stepping outside. Alright, but if this is just an excuse to see me naked, delegate or not, I will rip your balls off. Temari warned. If I wanted to see you naked, I'd take you on several dates, and get to know you first. Naruto quipped. Make it to the finals at the exams, and we'll talk about a date. Temari smirked, as she stripped down to her panties, and laid on the cot, placing her hands in front of her. Oh, I plan to win the whole thing. Naruto said, unsealing a battery-powered hot rock heater, and some massage oil, before beginning his massage on her upper back. Temari let out a slight groan, as she relaxed into his hands. If you're that confident, I'll make a bet with you. Well, I am a betting man. That's the wager? Naruto asked, as he moved his hands along her back. If you impress my father during the exams, I'll agree to either a political marriage contract, or a contract to give birth to your child, to strengthen our alliance. She offered. All right, but in either scenario, you're going to have to go out on a few dates with me. Ide enjoyed talking to you the last few days. Ide loved to get to know you better. Naruto said, as he placed the hot rocks down her spine, relaxing it. Well, you're already earning quite a few brownie points. Between this professional level massage, and the fact that you'd prefer to actually get to know me rather than just bed me, and put a baby in me. If I wanted someone to just pop out babies for me, I'd go down to the red light district, and pay a few of the girls to carry them. I know a few of them who would love the 9 months of paid vacation while they were pregnant. So you spend a lot of time in the red light district? Temari asked, letting out a groan, as he began working her thighs. I grew up in the area. He wasn't well liked as a child, and I had several attempts on my life. He, or as you know him, the Hokage gave me an apartment in the red light district, because nobody there cared about who I was. He worked as a broom boy in one of the gambling houses for pocket money, so I was pretty much raised by the working girls. Naruto explained. You're a Jinchuriki, aren't you? Temari asked. How did you figure it out? My brother Gaara is our village's Jinchuriki. It's how he manages to use sand release. The problem is, we don't have a seal master in the village, so the seal they put on him wasn't that well made. It doesn't allow him to sleep, and the beast drives him crazy for some reason. Temari sighed. She did love her brother, but his lack of sleep, and the beast's influence made him a danger. What level was the person at when they put the seal on him? Level 4, why? Naruto sighed. Having someone who's a level 4 do a Jinchuriki seal would be the equivalent of asking an academy student to create a canyon with a single earth jutsu. Even if it's possible, it won't end well. You seem to be well versed in Fuinjutsu. What level are you? Temari asked. Current Y level 8. As we speak, one of my blood clones back in my village is having my shadow clones continue my studies. The thing is, Fuinjutsu isn't like a high-rank ninjutsu. It's not just about measuring out the right amount of chakra and mastering the shape and nature transformation. The higher you go with Fuinjutsu, the more complex the formulas get. Ieji give you an example. A genin with enough chakra and a good grasp on the concept of shape transformation could learn the shadow clone without learning the regular clone. However, a Fuinjutsu user can learn level 2 seals without first learning level 1. It's one of the reasons why Fuinjutsu is so much harder to learn than the other shinobi skills, and why most people don't stick with it beyond basic storage and explosive scrolls. They can't skip to the flashy high-level skills without putting in the effort to learn the basics. Would you be able to improve Gaara's seal? Temari asked hopefully. I can take a look. If the existing seal matrix is decent, I can alter it to keep the beast quiet and allow him to sleep. Ieji need approval from Raza though. I'll ask him to send an overnight message to your Hokage. If you guys wouldn't mind hanging back for an extra day. I'm sure I can talk my team into one more day. While we're waiting for a reply, I'd appreciate it if you let me take you out to lunch. Messages, and you buy lunch. I may just have to keep you. Temari giggled. That night, while Naruto waited for Eri to get out of the bath, he decided to try and make contact with his own demon for help. Back in a meditative state, he began focusing on his seal. Naruto's eyes opened to a sewer-like area. My mindscape sucks. Imagine having to live in it. A voice called from further into his mindscape. Following the voice, he found himself in front of a large steel cage. I take it you're the Kyuubi. That's right, why have you come to me? Looking to use my power to become stronger. The beast scoffed. No, I'm just here to ask about the Sunehin Huriki. He was told his bijou was causing him to go crazy. I was hoping you'd have some information. A human who doesn't want a bijou's power. How interesting. Alright human, I'll tell you. My brother Shikako was originally sealed inside of a madman. When he was about to be put to death, he used his knowledge of seals to place a part of his soul in Sukaku. The action drove him insane. If we could separate the two, it would revert Sukaku back to his original form. It'd still be a pain in the ass brat, but he'd stop with the serial killing. I take it you have a method to do so? Naruto asked. Yes, once you alter the seal to allow his container to sleep, place your hand on it, and focus my chakra into it. The two of us will then enter his mindscape, where I will rip the essence out of him. As payment, I'd like you to imagine me up more suitable living arrangements. Preferably something with lots of trees. Naruto concentrated, and attempted to change the scenery for his tenant. The world around them became distorted, before shifting into a replica of the forest that surrounded Konoha. There are lots of predators in the forest of death back in Konoha. If you wait until after the second exam I'll think up some of them. For now, I've just created rabbits and squirrels for you to chase. I'm sure you have the ability to alter your size. With their agreement settled, Naruto exited the mindscape and took his turn in the bath, before settling in for the night. So Naruto-kun, you dragged us all the way to Suna, so you could pick up another girlfriend? Am I not enough for you anymore? She said, giving him her best crocodile tears. Now Airi-chan, you know that's not true. Plus you haven't even asked me out yet. Naruto pouted. I thought you liked me. Am I not cute anymore? He sniveled, looking at her with his famous, puppy dog eyes. Airi hugged him, rubbing his cheek. No fair Naruto-kun, you know no one can beat you at the puppy dog eyes. I know. He smiled, giving her a kiss on the forehead. Just for that, you're taking me on a proper date when we get back to the village. Ari said, grabbing his face and pulling him into a deep kiss. As you wish, Airi-chan. He said, kissing back. His tongue finding its way into her mouth. Lemon. Airi grabbed his shoulders and rolled the two over so that she was on top of him. Her hands running through his messy locks. Naruto placed his hands on her waist, pulling her into him. Airi-chan, are you sure? Naruto asked, his erection pressed against her stomach. I am Narukun. She said, moving a hand down to his erect member. Okami, you're huge, Narukun. Naruto moved his hands lower, his firm calloused hands gripping her shapely ass. You're so tight and firm, Airi-chan. All that training is really paying off. He grinned, giving it a solid smack. Airi let out a small yelp. Looking down at him, she smirked playfully. Naughty Narukun. If you can't control those hands, I'll have to tie them up. Before you do that. He smirked, and placed a privacy seal on the wall. There, now we can be as loud as we want. He said, kissing down the crook of her neck. I like the sound of that, Narukun. Airi purred, before undoing the zipper of his pants, allowing the thick veiny member to spring free. The young brunette smirked, and wrapped her fingers around the throbbing member. Naruto let out a moan, as his cock was gently stroked. Deciding to have a little fun of his own. He reached behind his lover, and pulled her shorts around her thighs, revealing her lacy blue thong. Grabbing the waistband of her panties, he pulled up slightly. The soft fabric rubbing against her clit caused Ari to let out a low moan. Flipping the two of them over, the blonde slid his way down, and spread her legs, before his tongue found its way to her clit. Airi moaned, grabbing the blonde by his hair once again. She couldn't believe that a girl from the poor side of Konoha was here, in a 5-star hotel, in a foreign land about to give herself to not only an amazing guy, but also possibly the strongest shinobi of her generation. She let out a slight whimper when he pushed two of his fingers into her womanhood, but the pain quickly turned to pleasure when she felt his fingers curl backwards and rub her G-spot. Her moans only got louder when his mouth wrapped around her clit and created a vacuum-like suction. "Thank you, Ten-chan," Naruto thought, as he narrowed his tongue and began flicking it over her clit. Ari continued to moan, before she felt her walls clutching at her lover's fingers. Her body shaking as her first orgasm rocked her body. Rising to his knees, Naruto finished the process of removing her shorts and panties. Throwing her legs over his shoulders, the blonde shinobi leaned in and pushed the entire length into her womanhood. Ari let out a small cry, gripping the sheets. After taking a minute to adjust to her partner's size, she tapped his thigh to signal she was ready for him to move. Gripping her hips, Naruto began rocking his hips, back and forth. Using his newfound chakra control, he began channeling chakra into his member, causing it to vibrate. Ari's moans began to get louder, as she felt the thick member begin to vibrate against her G-spot. Her thighs trembling, and her hands gripping at the sheets of the bed. Her moderately sized breast bouncing slightly with each thrust. Leaning into his thrusts, Naruto pushed the flexible girl's legs to her shoulders, and began licking the edges of her areola teasingly. His thrusts began to gain more speed. With each thrust, he started to add a little more chakra, causing the vibration of his cock to increase in speed. Airi screamed out in pleasure, as a second larger orgasm racked her system. Her juices squirting across her lover's stomach. She let out a small squeal of surprise, when she was turned over, and her shoulders lowered to the mattress. Her pleasure quickly returned, when her partner grabbed hold of her hips, and began humping her like a wild animal. Naruto was surprised when he felt an almost animalistic presence take over his body. His limbs seemed to move on instinct as he flipped his mate into a mating position, and began thrusting harder than before. He could feel his own orgasm fast approaching. His spine tingled in excitement, his fingers digging into the meat of her hips as he began thrusting more savagely. The whisker marks on his face becoming more noticeable. Ari let out a low moan, her eyes rolling back in her head, as she felt her third earth-shattering orgasm rush through her. Her juices sprayed the sheets as her tongue hung from her mouth. Naruto let out a primitive growl, before he unleashed a torrent of cum within his lover. "That was amazing, Airi-chan." He panted while he continued to grip her hips. Airi let out an unintelligible moan in response. When asked if she was up for round 2, she merely nodded a cum-drunk response. Lemon in. The following morning, the two genin made their way down the stairs to the hotel restaurant for breakfast. Ari's post-sex glow bringing a knowing smirk from their teammates. "So how was it, Airi-chan?" Ami asked with a teasing grin. "I don't know what you're talking about." Airi managed to stutter. Her own legs were still a bit weak from the previous net that had left her unconscious, before it was through. "Oh, if nothing happened then you won't mind a morning workout of 100 weighted laps around the village walls." Jugao smirked. "Please no. The soul is willing, but the flesh is weak and spongy," she begged, clutching her sensei's top. "Kami, what did he do to you?" Ami asked. Airi got a dazed look remembering the night before. What didn't he do?" 5 Narutokans who all share the same senses," she mumbled to herself. Jugao looked at Naruto, who only rubbed his head, and chuckled. "Anyway, let's eat. I have a few hours to join you guys for training today. At lunch I'll be going to eat with Temari-chan, before going to meet with Raza." "So you did come here just to pick up a new girlfriend?" Jugao teased, while giving him a playful pout. Naruto merely smirked, and leaned in next to her ear. "Careful, Jugao-chan. You just saw what I did to the last girl who made that claim," it whispered, nipping her ear. Jugao shivered slightly, before clearing her throat. "Well, seeing as you have so much energy left, I think we should eat, and get to training, before your day gets too busy. She said, trying to change the subject. All right, Yugao-chan, but that training excuse is only good for a couple more months. Es mir kid, before ordering a stack of pancakes. After a light training session, which still resulted in the half-hearted death glares from his teammates, Naruto made his way to one of the local diners to meet with Temari. Good afternoon, Temari-chan. You're looking positively beautiful as always. You can stop kissing up Naruto-kun. You already got the date. She smiled, as she rose to hug him. Even when we're competing against each other in the exams, I still plan to tell you every time I see you how beautiful you are. A replied, kissing her cheek. You keep up the charm, and I'll have to kidnap you, and keep you as my own personal blonde boita. Temari purred. Careful, Temari-chan, there's several high-ranking kunoichi in Konoha who might have something to say about that. A joked, kissing her hand. Now kidnapping you, and taking you back to Konoha as my love slave. You might have to fight my father and brothers over that. She grinned back. Haven't you heard the news, Mari-chan? Naruto Uzumaki is a one-man army. One light lunch, and much flirting later. Naruto Uzumaki once again stood in front of the Kazakage and his family. I must say, Naruto-kun, I seem to be meeting with you more than I do most of my citizens. Rasa chuckled. Well, I could see us being chess partners like Okage Hihi and Old Man Danzo. Naruto quipped. So where are we on permission from Hihi about me tampering with a potentially unstable seal matrix? He has approved this as an S-rank mission for an allied nation, and even offered to pay your fee himself as part of your helping out with Suna's revitalization. I'm also now glad I didn't let you write the request letter. Don't worry, Raza, he trusts me. He knows I wouldn't mess with a seal this dangerous unless I knew what I was doing. Now there is going to be two parts to this process. The first part will be me altering the seal in order to allow your son to sleep. The second part will be for me to use my own Whose chakra to enter your son's seal, and separate the beast spirit from that of its original Jinchuriki. You mean Bunpaku? Rasa asked. No, there was one before him. According to Kyuubi, it was a man named Masaki. Bunpaku being a monk managed to help him fight against the spirit of Masaki, but in the years since Bunpaku's death, the spirit has managed to regain its control. Onse Kyuubi, and I separate the two spirits. He should go back to being the kind, if not childish spirit he once was. Since you seem to know so much, can you tell me why Gaara refers to Ichibi as mother? When was the Ichibi sealed inside of Gaara? While he was in his mother's womb. Why?